X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who spit facts online all the time. Can you see it? All the ones who drag my name every single day. Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see it? They keep saying you don't have what it takes to carve out your own name underneath the shadows of gods. And I keep waiting for the day disbelievers say I flew way too close to the sun. I wait, but it never really comes. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all that shackled minds. Why do they just stand there against when they fall from the battles I have overcome? You feel it, feel the cope and the seething tone that they make while I stand up, man among gods. And I keep thinking with my mill, shooting ropes in my cold that faces towards the sun. They hate, but I'm sitting comfy with their mom. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all that shackled minds. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A spell that attracts all who speak facts online all the time. The X in my name is not just a symbol or a target sign. A force that compels all to rebel from all that shackled minds. It's you and me, your mom, it's me. I'll take another hit from my name. You'll see now, watch me right now, punch your face down. Let me show you how.
Good afternoon, or for most of you likely, it's probably evening at this point, but it is afternoon for me, so that's what I'm going to say. Welcome, welcome, it's so good to see all of you. Hey there, SSW Braydu, good to see you again. I do need to talk to you about one of our Discord users later. Okay, sounds good to me. Straw Hat Monty 97, what's up? How you doing? Summerstar, what's up? How you doing? Cammy Whammy, I hope you're doing well. What's up? Red Eye Fire, how are you? Heavy Gretel, good to see you. What's up? TSW the Shadow Wolf, how you doing? Welcome back. Hey Zan, the Dolphins lost against the Bills yesterday. Sag, aw. Well, I don't follow sports really, so I will sag with you because whichever team you like. Bolt Sidorov, thank you. Welcome. Good to see ya. Wingo, welcome. Evil Rhoda, how are you? Bazooka Horse, welcome back. What's up? Snowy Prince, hello. Welcome, welcome. Cleaver 120, welcome back. Nice to have you here. Hopefully you enjoy listening to the stream while you're at work. Lord Rose 97, good to see ya. Cammy Whammy, I think I said hi to you maybe? I don't know. Circuit Dog, what's up? Good to see ya. Helping your dad do electrolysis to remove rust from a rusting nail. Huh. Or from a railing tomorrow, not rusting nail. I don't know why I read it like that. Ah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, electrolysis is super cool. You basically pass a current through something to remove the rust and use like a chemical bath as well. It's super neat. Super duper neat. Trump polls look like they may be taking a nosedive. That's what we want to see. So true, Lay Joker. Welcome, welcome, YouTube chatters as well. For those of you guys on YouTube that don't know, I have a website, and that is the chat that you see on screen right now, and that is where you should be if you're not already. I don't typically read YouTube chat much because it tends to be where the you know, just people who raid chat and stuff kind of post. Did you watch the new Rings of Power episode? Yeah, it was really good. I liked it. Yeah, I'm really liking the show. Season 2 is cooking so far. I'm fucking hyped for the next episode because I'm pretty sure they're doing it. Like, either next episode or... I think it's going to be next episode. At the latest, the episode after. Typical ROP pacing. Yeah, it does have some insanely fast pacing, which, like, I think is probably a good thing, to be honest. Especially when it comes to broader audiences. A bit like how Peter Jackson had to chop a lot out of The Lord of the Rings. She's been at Mar-a-Lago the last few days, yeah? Oh, Melania Trump? Can't be worse than the Hobbit trilogy's pacing? Yeah, no, it's good pacing, it's just fast, you know what I mean? Like, the Ring of Power might be made by the end of Season 2, and Season 3 might be about, like, Gondor starting up and shit. Like I don't know. Because the order they do things in isn't necessarily one-to-one. And I've got a theory, guys. Here's my theory about Rings of Power. And Lord of the Rings fans, you guys, this is who this is for. Rings of Power does not one-to-one follow the story that Tolkien wrote in the Silmarillion. What it does follow, one-to-one, is the elvish, revisionist history. For example, the Ring poem. 3 rings for elven kings under the sky, 7 for the dwarf lords in their halls of stone, 9 for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne. That's not the actual story. It was a poem that was come up with by the elves in order to, like, concisely explain the events that caused the Rings of Power to exist and the One Ring to exist and why it's so important. But that's not really how it happened. The elves never intended for, and Sauron never even intended, for the 7 rings to go to the dwarves, for example. But in the show, just like in the Ring poem, they do, explicitly. And I'm wondering if the show, especially with its heavy focus on elves, is literally elvish revisionist history in universe. And that may sound kind of crazy and out of left field, but when you think about it, is it? The Fellowship of the Ring changes writing style halfway through because Bilbo... Well, it's more like a third of the way through. Because Bilbo is no longer the one writing and is like children's book Hobbit style that's like whimsical and fun and relatively simple. Frodo's now the one writing the story, like on a meta level, and it gets harder to... it gets harder to read, and, you know, it's a harder read in general, and it's a lot more epic. Also, still no blue wizards? Yeah, that's definitely an interesting thing, especially the fact they're in Rune, and there's no blue wizards. That has me wondering if the stranger just is Alatar Prolando. Alright, Tolkien geeking segment is done, okay? No more Tolkien geeking for the rest of the stream. Hey Zan, you ever play State of Decay 2? It's pretty good, but it's a bit old. State of Decay 3 is coming out in 2025, and so far it looks fucking great. Ah, cool to hear, Bolt Sidorov. I hope it ends up being good. I'm gonna be honest, Tom Bombadil's depiction... Alright, you got me. You reeled me in. One last bit. Tom Bombadil's depiction, really good. But he's also a little less cheery and a little more clued into what's going on than I got the impression that he is in the book. When they meet him in the book... And especially when Gandalf talks about Tom Bombadil, he heavily implies, Tolkien and Gandalf heavily imply, that Tom Bombadil may be extremely powerful and even eldest, but he's not necessarily clued into the real threat of Sauron or the ring or its darkness, to the extent that Gandalf said he would likely lose the Ring of Power, the One Ring, if he ever had it, because it would just be a nothing trinket to him, and he would just like end up losing it somewhere because he wouldn't recognize its importance. And the way that Tom Bombadil like forebodingly tells the stranger about the spreading darkness, not really in character for Tom Bombadil, because Tom Bombadil doesn't know about all that. But I'm nitpicking. That's part of what I enjoy about the show, is nitpicking those little details where it's like, that's not exactly how he's depicted, or, oh man, they got this one-to-one perfect, or maybe they even do something better, dare I say. Zan, have you played Shadow of Mordor? Yes, I have, and Shadow of War. I played them when they originally came out, like, very quickly after they came out, because I was a big fan of Tolkien even back then, so you better believe when those games came out, I was big into them. And I was 14 when Shadow of Mordor came out, maybe 13, and so, people were complaining about the lore breaking, but I was like, dog, it's a fun Tolkien, like, Lord of the Rings, Middle-earth world game. Like, who cares if it bends or breaks the lore a bit? It's clearly made by people who know their shit. Like, let's just enjoy it. And then people went even further on that with Shadow of War, with the whole Shelob thing and stuff. And then it's followed up by with Rings of Power as like the next thing that bends lore that people get mad about. And it's like, you can appreciate something even if it bends the lore as like a separate thing, you know? Alright, Stunlock is done. Did I play the Gollum game? No, I didn't. Also, it's spelled Gollum, TSW, the Shadow Wolf. Just, it's not Golem, it's Gollum. Because he's named after the sound that he started making from deep in his throat after his hiding away from the light. God, you guys got me in it again. Basically, he makes that noise with his throat, so people started calling him Gollum. Lore is not more important than themes and also just general quality of writing and or acting. I mean, yeah, and I would genuinely argue that Rings of Power sticks to the themes of Tolkien extraordinarily well. And particularly gets into the themes that he elaborated on in his letters. No escape from Tolkien lore, god damn it. We're so fucked. We're so fucked. Okay, listen. I'm stopping the stun lock. Don't worry, guys. I'm not going to let us stun lock on Tolkien anymore, alright? We're locking the fuck in, okay? It's like in Legend of Korra when Aang is getting bloodbended and then he locks in and goes into the Avatar state. That's me right now. God, I would love to, Heavy Gretel. Good lord. I wish I was the Lord of the Rings lore channel, guys. Can I just be that? Actually, no. You know what? No, hold on. I'm stun locking on Tolkien shit a little longer, but you guys are gonna like this, okay? Check this shit out, guys. If ever one day I am not a fucking broke, hungry streamer, I want to go to New Zealand, and I want to do this. This is the Hobbiton movie set. It's a physical location in New Zealand where they filmed the movie. The inside interiors, I don't believe, were filmed there, obviously, but the exteriors all were. And now they do, like, tours and whatnot. But on top of that, if you go to experiences on their website, they have several extremely appealing things. So first they've got the second breakfast tour. There is no first breakfast tour, to be clear. It's a reference to the famous meal of the day for hobbits, second breakfast. Do you want to know what this looks like? Guys, you sit at a big fucking banquet table, and you eat a hobbit breakfast. Watch this shit load. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. And this is inside of the mill building that you will recognize from the movies, as this is the bridge that Gandalf goes over. Look at that breakfast. Holy crap. Zan, stop, I'm hungry. We're just beginning. And then there is the... Where's the lunch one? I could have sworn there was a lunch one. Regardless, the evening banquet tour is the insane one. This is the one that I really would go to if I could only pick one. You go to the Green Dragon, and you sit at a big-ass table, and you eat a fucking Hobbit feast. Zan, what was your biggest cum shot? 37 feet. Yeah, it does. It looks so good, I could literally cry. This is what I have always wanted. Like, when I dream of, like, the ideal feast, this is what I've always imagined. Jesus. I want a Hobbit feast. Quick, someone post the Shelob meme to stunlock me longer. Oh my gosh. Oh, and here's the lunch tour. Okay, let's see the Hobbit lunch. Okay, I forgot, because the lunch tours are a lot bigger. They host it in the tent for Bilbo's party. So it's a lot bigger of a thing. And they have, like, a buffet set up. This is, like, the much cheaper, big event. Like, they do this all throughout the day, the lunch thing. So if you don't have as much to spend, you can do this. But god damn it if I don't want to do the evening and breakfast banquet and this. I want to spend my whole day in the Shire, okay? 37 feet, how? Cabbages. Lots and lots of cabbages. Believe it or don't. But, cabbages. No, Summer Star, just the cabbages, surprisingly. My cabbages. Alright. Why wouldn't it be just a transistor? Tell me why it wouldn't be. Anyway, Inky Pinky, oh my gosh, thank you so much for the $5 super chat over on YouTube. I appreciate it. Says, I know someone who is gonna go to New Zealand for an upcoming eclipse and Hobbit stuff. Hell yeah. I mean, you have to go to New Zealand and have yourself like a Hobbit tour. I really want to start doing more walking. I walk pretty regularly already, but damn, I could not do like an actual marathon or legit hiking trip. Not by a long shot. I'd have to train. And so what I want to do is, and hopefully be able to ring some friends into it, though, god, the prerequisite challenge. Ethan might be down. If Ethan is down, then that's all that's needed. Two bros walking across Middle-earth, that is literally ideal. Maybe we can have a third tag-along, you know? Just some, like, some fan of mine who's from New Zealand, who we can just make go around in a loincloth, coughing, and saying, this way, this way. But, like, they're looking at their phone to check, like, Google Maps to find out where to go next. Just to be our Gollum, you know? Our guide. Yeah, 2 bros, 1 ring. Good lord. Hey, if you're watching the stream and somehow you're enjoying it, consider dropping a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. It means a ton, and it helps so much that you guys don't even know. Literally, you're forcing the corpos at YouTube to push my content in the algorithm. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that cool? Really means a lot. So if you haven't hit that like button, do it. Do it now. I'm going to the Renaissance Fair again in October, but I'm attempting to see if there's a Halloween rave concert I can go to instead. I love Renaissance Fairs. You should go to the Renaissance Fair. That goes hard. You go to the Renaissance Fair and 90% of the women there are like tall and hot and are wearing elf ears and have some kind of like speckling like druidy makeup or something on. It's awesome. If you've never been to the Florida State Fairgrounds Renaissance Fair, It's awesome. It's great. They actually do have a jousting, like real jousting event there too. Oh, and the turkey leg. The smoked turkey leg? Of course. You can't forget the smoked turkey leg. I'm sorry, One Piece 34. I gotta lock in today. No stun locking for me. For some reason, I didn't catch my phone auto-correcting Gollum into the wrong spelling, despite him being my favorite character. Note, I like him for the same reason I like Jar Jar Binks, because they're so goofy and silly. I love them both. Gollum is a very tragic character. I should say Smeagol is a very tragic character. If you've just seen the movies, the Lord of the Rings movies, I can understand how he could be seen as comic relief. But if you really pay attention, and if you've read the books, he is the picture of what Frodo could become if he fails. It is what the ring will turn him into if it beats him. And that is why there's so much animosity as the story goes on between Frodo and Sam, because Sam views Gollum as a disgusting rodent, a creature that should be regarded with hate. And when Sam insults Gollum, Frodo can't help but feel that applies to him, you know? God damn it, you guys got me stun-locked on Tolkien again. How do you guys do it? How do you guys how do you do it? How do you guys do it? It's the ADHD, Zan? God, I need to get on that medication that lets you be a normal when you have ADHD. I cannot imagine what that is like. I like just to have a completely clear train of thought. Good God. Stunlock Riz? Is there any Riz in getting stunlocked? I don't know. There is the meme where it's like the guy explaining, I think it's Elder Scrolls lore to the girl, and the girl wants to fuck him. So maybe if I do that with Tolkien stuff, I'll be able to get girls. Probably not, though. I don't think that meme is as real as the internet wants people to believe. I have to suffer my ADHD. Adderall makes me angry. Aw. Warning about Adderall, it'll destroy your appetite. Well, that definitely strikes it off the table. I can't affect my appetite. I am an insanely... I am a massive hard gainer, okay? Like, just immense. Like, I cannot gain weight. It is very hard. And that may sound like a good thing, like, you can eat whatever you want. No. I want to be big. I don't want to be fat, but I do want to be big. And that means I have to eat, like, painful amounts of food until I stretch my stomach to the point that I can eat enough that my metabolism gets beat. You know what I mean? My metabolism is unfortunately high. And to be clear, I can't just eat whatever I want. I am 25 years old. If I eat, like, 3 slices of chocolate cake, I'll probably throw up. You know, I'm built not like I used to be, okay? This is not a humble brag, I promise. I do not like my high metabolism. You'd probably be better with something like Stratera? Interesting. I'll ask my doctor about Stratera. Or Stratera. Well, listen. CoinDog, if you were paying attention, you would know the cake is a lie, and always was. How's the bodybuilder art going? Give us a flex if you want. I'm very, very toned. I basically have no body fat. As a matter of fact, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but you can see my veins under my skin, and they kind of bulge up a little bit, which is kind of the biggest show of how little body fat you have. Fuck, my cheeks, my face really tells you how little fat percentage I have, and it's arguably an unhealthily low amount, because I don't have a ton of muscle mass, like, to add on, like, to replace that, you know what I mean? How do I speed up my metabolism? Ozempic, I guess? The drug that people shoot into their stomachs, and it, like, boosts their metabolism, and it's supposed to be... I think it's a cure for type 1 diabetes, right? Or is it type 2? Yeah. Like, Ozempic will apparently fix your metabolism. That's what I've heard, at least. The Nikocado avocado drug? Is that what he took to get skinny? Yeah, DM crew is calling you a meth head? Jesus Christ. Well, listen. The allegations that are out against them right now, if you even want to be so charitable as to just call them allegations, well, I think that's... I can't even be mad, you know. They're on a sinking ship with what's come out about them. Please do cardio before you try Ozempic. Maybe I'm a boomer here, but Ozempic looks scary to me. I mean, I'm never taking that shit. I really don't need it. If I took Ozempic, it might kill me. like legitimately. I might, like, die of malnourishment. Yeah. Most of what I know about it is from the South Park episode. I haven't, like, done any research on Ozempic, so I don't know any of the medical side effects or the risks or anything. Don't take my word for it. Take everything I say about it or anything related to medicine with a grain of salt, unless it's just very basic advice, like go to your doctor or something. Hey, man, if it's for your health, it might be for the best, but, I mean, you might not have any negative health effects due to your weight, and if that's the case, then you got nothing to worry about. You don't need it. To be fair, South Park's episode about Ozempic was quite good. You know how South Park, like a broken clock, sometimes they just have like a banger of an episode where they kind of hit the nail on the head? That was the Ozempic episode. A lot of it was about how shitty and fucked the American healthcare system is. Like, a significant amount of it was just that. It was one of those rare, broken clock moments for South Park, where they aren't just, like, disaffected, who cares. It was actually a surprisingly sincere episode of the show. Well, if it's muscle, you're not really all that overweight then, Cammy Whammy. I don't know if you can be overweight with muscle. Maybe you can be. I don't know how that works. Yeah, we need to go back to the Subway diet. Oh, no. Not Jared. His name is Jared. Whatever the meme goes. Have you heard Nicholas Diorio still hasn't mentioned anything about Demon Mama while still keeping up the narrative about you over the Cherry drama? Well, Cherry and Nicholas Diorio are personal friends. That's probably why. They've been friends for a while. So I'm not really surprised by that, to be completely honest with you. Kind of what I expected. I haven't paid attention to Twitter, though, so I'm not really aware of where things are happening. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't gotten any big waves of hate or anything. It doesn't seem like anybody cares. Particularly the fact that, Cherry nuked all their DMs. It's like, okay. Well, Zan might have, like, Fed posted in DMs and shit, but, like, what are you hiding? That you had to nuke. And then, of course, Demon Mama getting exposed for much, much, much worse. Kinda took the wind out of the sails of the people trying to go after me with drama. Your subs are already back above 90k. This attack against you literally did fucking nothing. No, legitimately, I think it was Ethan who said this originally. You've lost more subs for telling people to vote. Oh, Heavy Gretel, you don't know about what happened with Demon Mama? Yo, SSW Braydu, since you're a mod for Westside Tyler, you should probably give Heavy Gretel the cliff notes on that. You're the closest to it as far as having been tapped into it. I've been super out of the loop, lol. Yeah, you've been away from the internet for a little while, I've noticed. It's all good. I'm actually not in the know as well. What did DM get exposed for? You'll have to wait for SSW Braydu to say, okay? Listen, I don't want any part of this drama shit anymore, okay? I want to be into politics. I want to maybe one day meet the president. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool? Intel Fox 51. Oh my gosh. My lord, you just dropped a nuke. A giga nuke in the YouTube chat over there. Hot damn. Intel Fox, thank you for the $51 super chat. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Says, good evening, Zan. It's always a good night for me when I wake up to one of your streams. It's like my night coffee of chill politics. And then a :3. Thank you so much, Intel Fox. I really do appreciate it. That is an immensely kind donation. It really means a lot. Thank you, thank you. Really is based. Thank you so much. Means a ton. Here, really quickly, guys, I'm going to run upstairs and grab a Monster Energy because I pushed myself all the way to 5:30 p.m. before having my second Monster. So, I'm going to go grab it, and then we're going to hop into the first segment of the day, okay? Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back, all right? I love you all. Don't go anywhere. I'll be gone a second. Woo. How dare you fed post in my chat? Just a transistor? How could you? Excuse me. I had to burp, and I haven't even drank a Monster yet. What is happening? Something that really annoys me about the pet eating thing is that the median and conservative voter will blindly believe it because of the hearsay posts on Facebook and Twitter. What's next? They're going to believe that prisons are transing the illegal immigrants? That's exactly what Trump said in the debate, and yeah, probably. Indeed, I have returned. He hath risen. He hath risen. Alright. My lovely, lovely chatters, let's begin by resuming and finishing the Kamala Harris and Trump debate that we didn't get to cover yesterday in full. The last, quarter of it, or third of it, maybe, I didn't get to cover because, well, the segment had gotten to be over 3 hours long, which would have made uploading and editing that for my editor, impossible. And then on top of that, I figured, okay, well, they're breaking it up here with the commercial break. This is a good time to move on and do another segment, so we're not just covering the debate in this stream, you know? So we do want to cover the rest of it, which should be way faster, and then we'll move on to the rest of the segments, because I've got some good ones for you guys today. It's going to be fun. Zan, I want to buy my first gun. Should I get a Mini 14 or a Mosin Nagant? I'd go with a Mosin, honestly. Mosins are cooler. Yeah, the Mini 14 will give you more shots. Get the M14 if you want to, like, just have, like, a bit more of, like, you know, a modern-esque looking gun. You know, something that's a little more user-friendly, a little easier on your fingers. But if you're fine with getting some scrapes and perhaps even worse on your thumb, on your hands, and having some aches in your fingers after you've been to the range, then go with the Mosin, because it feels so fun to shoot, dude. Like, when you fire a Mosin, it cracks like an old rifle, you know? It feels special. And I love how it feels to shoot. I love the sound it makes. I love the way that it like poofs up dust off the ground when you fire from a sitting position. I love how it looks just in general, the gun itself. I love that it shoots a pretty, you know, strong round 7.62. It's just fun. I like Mosins. When I get my first gun, I'm getting a Glock 19. I've heard good things from a reputable YouTuber. A very small, you probably wouldn't know him. I think his name is Xander Hall. I can definitely recommend the Glock. However, to be very clear, my preferences aren't necessarily your preferences, and my situation isn't necessarily your situation, right? The Glock does not have a safety, right? It's chambered in 9mm. It is a pistol. And there are a lot of things in that equation that may not fit your needs. If you need a gun primarily because you're concerned about home defense and less so that you're going to be going to the range a lot, like it's going to be a gun that just sits and gathers dust and be used for home defense, don't get a pistol. Get a shotgun. Hell, even if you're going to go to the range pretty often, you could still argue that a shotgun might be better. Shotguns are fun. The ammo is cheap, too. And on top of that, there are extracurricular activities you can do with shotguns, such as shooting clays, you know? So that's always a fun time. You can shoot skeet, shoot clays, whatever you call it. And shotguns are a good time. That's definitely 99% of the time. Realistically, your first gun should be a shotgun. But if you're really married to the idea of a pistol, like you want to conceal carry or whatever, sure, the Glock is pretty good. But then remember, it doesn't have a safety, and if that's something that worries you or you think that might not be good for you, then, you know, go for something else. You know, I do recommend SIGs. If you're not going to get a Glock backup option, like literally like horizontal progression also, like I consider Glock, like the Glock 19 and SIG Sauer pistols to be pretty much on the same level. They both, Glocks and SIGs feel great. I consider it horizontal progression in a way, like in a game. If you don't want to go for the Glock, go for the SIG. They're also very popular. Cops carry them. They're very reliable. There was a meme for a while where there was like some issues where they got dropped and would go off, and like officers would bump them with their elbows and they would go off, but it was just sort of like a very, very brief manufacturing flaw that is no longer a thing and hasn't been for a long time. It is why I opted for the Glock, to be honest, but it's really not something worth worrying about. Like, millions of cops carry them, and like 1 or 2 times a SIG went off in a cop's holster. Yeah, Bazooka Horse. I was at the range and I shot, I think it was a M9 Beretta. And that was a lot of fun. It's kind of an ugly looking gun, but after shooting it a bit, grew on me, for sure. It felt really good in my hands. That's one of the things. I hadn't bought my gun yet, and so I did not know what I was going to get. And it genuinely felt so good in my hands, and my aim with it was so good, because it fit well, you know? Like, it was a good fit for me. It was so good that I considered, like, settling on that being my first gun, but I later decided on a Glock, because, you know, Berettas are a little... they can be a little finicky. You know, they're solid, and they're not, you know, known for malfunctions, but they're not as known for reliability as a Glock. And, you know, you don't want your gun to lose any of its value over time. And a Glock is not going to lose value over time. It's going to probably only appreciate in value. Man, you guys know how to stun lock me, don't you? You get me talking about Tolkien. You get me talking about guns. You get me talking about... You know what to do. Next, it's going to be Minecraft. The Minecraft movie or Hightail. You sneaky little bastards. You sneaky little guys. Blood is not locked in. God damn it. How dare you? How dare you know me so well? Goddamn parasocial relationship havers. Nice, it saved our spot. Alrighty. Should I skip? Or are there like, okay, here we go. They get back to it. Cool, cool. Let me change my lighting really fast on my camera. Increase my gain because it's dark in here. We love that. Love that for me. Okay. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Alright, everybody. This is quite funny. Unfortunately, I could not prevent myself from stun locking. So much so that me covering 1 hour and 11 minutes of the presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Trump ended up taking me 3 hours and 45 or so minutes. A lot of this had to do with the fact that we were fact-checking almost everything that Trump said, because over and over again they kept being lies or at best half-truths. And just for the sake of time, I had to cut everything off at about 2/3 of the way into the debate so that we could move on and cover more things in that stream. Otherwise, I would literally have to... For one, my editor wouldn't be able to make the video. 2, we wouldn't be able to cover anything else in that stream. So I decided I would have to, you know, put the debate on the back burner until today, which, of course, just a day later, here we are. And we're resuming at the 2/3 mark of the debate to finish it up, because I still have not seen or been spoiled about the remainder of this debate. So I am excited to watch the rest of this, especially considering how it's gone in the first 2/3. You know, Trump going all the way on the whole "they're eating the fucking dogs" point was wild, and we're actually going to be deep diving into that a little later in the stream. So stick around if that's something that you're interested in. Alrighty, welcome back, Heavy Gretel. Let us begin. Or should I say, let us resume, as if nothing ever happened. We're just right back into the debate. Let's go. Dun-dun-dun, 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 dun-dun-dun. You know, the fucking Super Bowl music.
Live from the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Goddamn, the music's not far
Here
off,
again,
to be honest.
David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
Welcome back to this historic ABC News presidential debate tonight. We're going to continue here, and I want to turn to the war in Ukraine. We're now 2.5 years into this conflict. Mr. President, it has been the position of the Biden administration that we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this.
Why are we questioning him on that point? Trump has flip-flopped on this 50 times. He goes from saying we're wasting money and resources in Ukraine and we need to cut it all off and leave them to the wolves, to like we have to back up our allies in Ukraine, we have to defeat Putin. It's literally depending on what audience he's speaking to, whether it looks bad for him to be sympathetic to Russia or good for him to be sympathetic with Russia, which, by the way, is basically determined by what the leaning politically of the audience is. If it's a mostly conservative audience, he's extremely sympathetic and soft on Putin and Russia in his rhetoric, even hard on Ukraine, especially in his tweets. But when he's on a talk show or in the debates, he argues, oh, yeah, we should be behind our allies. It makes me wonder if Trump's actually serious about revoking support for Ukraine, if he would actually do it when elected. Or if elected, I should say. God forbid. I don't know. I'm curious about that.
War in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives.
Yeah, that is a really, really good question to ask as well. Because there's only one correct answer that is pro-America, or the right answer. I think to most Americans, and that is yes, I want Ukraine to win the war. This, like, weird isolationist attempt at being like, I just want the war to stop, no more conflict, America needs to stop getting involved in foreign wars point that I know he's about to make to try to appeal to the dumb fucks who think the Democrats are war hawks. It's just, I hate Trump. I really hate liars, you know? People who are as blatant and slimy and shameless in their lying as Trump just piss me off. It's really frustrating. I want to say, like, and argue against everything that he says, but I feel like it's so blaringly obvious, it's almost cringe for me to impassionedly argue why it's stupid, you know what I mean? Like, it feels redundant.
That are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting.
Trump has to say millions as much as possible on purpose, right? The way he says millions, it's so... It's part of his brand, is the way he says millions. So, for sure, he says it as often as possible on purpose, right? Like, that's not an accident, for sure. He's got a weird accent.
With your fake numbers. Look,
your fake
we're in
numbers.
For $250 billion or more.
AKA when data doesn't agree with
because they don't ask Europe,
lies.
Which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening.
Pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. We have agreements and treaties, by the way, where we're already like we've already agreed to protect these countries if we are protecting them. There's usually been decades of precedent for these things. On top of that, is Trump genuinely trying to make... Okay, well, I guess dumb fucks will believe it, but is he trying to make me believe that NATO countries are doing nothing to stop the flood of invasion from Russia? For the record, I'm pretty sure the country with the most foreign volunteer fighters, originating the most foreign volunteer fighters in Ukraine fighting against Russia, is the country Georgia, which I believe is also in the EU, right? Or in the Europe. Oh my god, I'm brain farting right now. Ugh. Like, I don't... What do people believe this? Do people fall for this idea that Europe is doing nothing to stop Russia from taking Ukraine and making that part of Russia, thus bordering, like, Poland supposedly doing nothing to help Ukraine or to stop Russia, just entirely relying on America to do it for them, apparently. Trump relies on, at best, the half-truth that most nations, in fact, every nation, is incapable of providing as much military support as America can, and framing that as if it is a lack of support intentionally, not America is the biggest military power on the planet. Of course, we are the biggest boy at the table, and we typically seem to be doing the most work. You know what I mean?
They're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president.
Zelensky does not
they
respect
me.
Trump.
They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin. Hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it.
We're sanctioning Russia. Like, what? We're currently sanctioning Russia, and they're at war with one of our allies. What do you mean phone calls? Now is not the time to ride Putin's dick and to let him piss on you in a hotel room, Trump. Now is the time for us to treat Russia like it's crossed the line, which it has. We can't play nice with Russia. We can't. They'll see it as weakness.
That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left,
He is right that the war would have never happened if he was president. Like, adversarial leaders to America, particularly Putin, will specifically not invade our allies and start war that we have to get involved in when a Republican is in office. When foreign powers such as Putin specifically have invested millions and over $100 million in pushing pro-Trump propaganda in conservative media, like paid conservative media figures to push pro-Trump propaganda and pro-Russia propaganda, when they only invade or get us involved in conflict when a Democrat is in office, but almost never when a Republican is in office. What do you think? I don't know. I just think I think it's convenient, you know? So I do agree. The war probably never would have happened if Trump was in office right now, because I don't think Putin would want to make it look like a Trump presidency would get us involved in conflict.
I saw him building up soldiers. He did it after I left. I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's... Where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
they
here...
threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president?
What does Trump just have dogs on his mind tonight? Like, was he just watching, like, TikTok dog videos or something before the debate, and he just can't stop thinking about dogs? What is going on? He can't get him off his mind. They're eating the fucking dogs!
But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
Your time is up. Just to clarify in the question, do you believe it's in the U.S.?
I love how he jumped around between they booted him out, and it was illegal and it was wrong, but also he doesn't even know he's alive. He's not fit to be president. I don't know.
Best interests for Ukraine to win this war, yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Just say that you support Ukraine. He won't, because he doesn't. Because he actually supports Russia, and he'd get a really angry call from Putin after this debate if he did.
A deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. This
is all true, by the way. This is her job. The vice president, by far, does the most traveling around the world and speaking with foreign leaders and whatnot. Like, she is arguably, like, the head ambassador, I guess, of the United States. In a way, like that is a big part of the vice president's position and their job. So yeah, she has actually done more than Trump, even in his presidency, has done to speak to foreign leaders.
Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known.
But Kamala, have you considered that NATO is just sitting back and doing nothing and letting America do all the work, and that we should just leave all our allies to deal with Russia on their own unless they pay us, because fighting against Russia because they are opposed to us and are an adversarial nation attacking one of our allies is supposedly weak, I guess?
Which is NATO. And what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan came up in the last hour. I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier, and I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in Moscow, much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them.
There was a whole era in America where people were thinking a lot, like just a ton, about Russia having nuclear weapons. It was a very cold time in America. We were on the brink of war, perhaps. One that could end all life on the planet. I wonder what that era was called, and I'm sure, you know, surely no one remembers it, and it must have had no lasting impacts whatsoever in our society or culture. Because as Trump said, people forget, people don't think about the fact that Russia has nukes. He's gonna try to, like, imply, by the way, that we shouldn't help Ukraine because if we continue fighting against Russia, they might nuke the world. And so we have to just bow to Russia, but also somehow it is the stronger thing to do.
And maybe he hasn't been that threatening, but he does have that. something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin. And
mind you, by the way, when Trump says, if I was president, the war would have never started, he's wording it as though there's some justification for Putin invading Ukraine. Like, he's already implying in his argument that Putin had some justification, and that in his argument, what he's saying is he could have reasoned with Putin for a compromise. The implication being that Putin had a right to try and take land from Ukraine and annex it.
she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst.
Mind you, like, there's no middle ground when it comes to Russia and Ukraine. Like, even the army that Russia has is currently the people in Ukraine that are fighting against the Ukrainians are a significant amount of them like killers from prisons that they put into battalions and forced to go fight against the Ukrainians, and they bribe them with the possibility of a reduced sentence if they fight. Like, they've sent an army of murderers and, like, real fucking criminals to go fight in the war, like a decent amount of them. It is not a good initiative. Yeah, the Wagner Group. It is not a good initiative, the annexing and attack of Ukraine by Russia. There's no middle ground. There's no gray area. It's actually astonishingly black and white for anything having to do with world politics. Like, it's quite rare that anything like this is so blatantly just black and white. Like, there's a good side and a bad side. But this is one of them. And even shying away like Trump is from saying explicitly Ukraine is in the right and they should win in a war that is literally an invasion on their land, the fact that he's almost implying that it is not an invasion on their land tells you all you need to know.
Worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should, as a leader upholding international rules and norms, as a leader who shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The President of the United States is commander-in-chief. And the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We've talked about Ukraine and Vladimir.
That was a pretty good roast session there. Damn. God dang. I'm excited for us to dig into the, granted it's not been super long, but there is still some pretty good polling we can look at to see how this debate might be affecting things and how it might be, turning the tides in this upcoming election. We shall see. I'm excited to look at the results.
Putin, I do want to talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to Afghanistan.
Stoltenberg said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen, he's the head of NATO. He said, I've never.
Dude, this is not a thing. What I love about Trump, or I should say I hate it, but you know what I mean, the sarcastic love. What I love about Trump is that his supporters are so stupid that I actually shouldn't even call them stupid. They're just normal. They're not like, they're not even normal. They are weird, but it is normal to not know even basic world economics. Like, that is a completely normal thing. But unfortunately, Trump weaponizes that in his followers and uses not necessarily complicated, but also relatively, I don't even want to say high level, but like, he uses basic economic issues as a wedge to try and win the election because he's like the economy guy, but he also doesn't really seem to understand economics, but neither does the median voter. So when Trump says that he gets countries to pay up or to pay for things, or that America's paying for something or has some kind of debt, he talks about it much like some New York mobster, like a debt is owed. Or like people have to pay up, you know, they gotta pay up. And when people hear him say that, even if he doesn't say that explicitly, that that's how it works, it's certainly what's implied. And they buy that argument. They buy these talking points because fundamentally, they don't understand how the world works well enough to understand that Trump is a major league bullshitter, and he clearly doesn't even know the basics of what he's talking about.
Never seen. For years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
President
Otherwise,
Trump.
we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a poignant moment today on Capitol Hill, honoring the soldiers who died in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's tax.
Man, it really is wild how I get shit for literally everything. Who remembers where I had I disagreed with Biden's abrupt pulling out of troops from Afghanistan, particularly citing the majority opinion of the people of Afghanistan. Like, among particularly Afghan women, there was a strong favor for America to stay until proper peace agreements had been made with the Taliban that assured their rights would be preserved. I got immense amounts of hate for this. There might even still be people mauling over it in chat. The quotes are always like, Zan thinks American imperialism is okay if it's for women's rights. It's like, yeah, sure, you know? And I just banned those people. And now they're not around anymore, thank God. But those people were really pissy and got mad at me about it. Mind you, this is a situation where I was disagreeing and directly calling out something Biden did. Then fast forward a couple years, and here I am getting shit because I don't disagree with Biden enough, apparently. Supposedly, I never disagree with Biden. That was the claim from a bunch of people, if you don't remember. Fucking hell, dude. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got to where we are. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker. Even his national security advisor.
I mean, he completely fucked up the Iran nuclear deal. That was, like, a famously bad fuck-up in foreign policy. Like, I would actually argue, at least on a foreign policy level, that is actually one of Trump's biggest failures in his job as president.
Said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000.
The problem is the negotiations, which were supposed to be to ensure that once the U.S. pulled out, there would be conditions, because the Taliban was always inevitably going to retake control of the country. There was never any doubt about that. I don't know why I got hate for it. This was just always what was going to happen, and it did. But the desire from the Afghan people, knowing that obviously the Taliban would take over again the second U.S. boots were off the ground, and they did. Reminder, they immediately did. They wanted there to be certain conditions met in peace talks before any pullout was done. Notably, preserving the right for women to go to school, which is a newfound thing in Afghanistan after the U.S. set up shop there. The same goes for women having the right to work and have a wage, to own property, to rent, that kind of thing. You know, basically fundamental basic human rights. These were all, brought to women in Afghanistan when the U.S. came, and they were all taken away very promptly when the U.S. left, because unfortunately, much to the literal opposite desire of the people of Afghanistan, the U.S. pulled out before properly negotiating terms with the Taliban that would have hopefully preserved women's rights to those things, and of course educational rights, stuff like that, right? Online lefties seem to not realize the pullout on Afghanistan was just all sorts of fucked, and it is pretty much all Trump's fault. Well, at the same time, I'm not too upset about it. I might cover it on my next stream, which will be the day after tomorrow. But right now, Hassan's getting shit because his head mod, he and his head mod, Frogan, are going after Ethan Klein and attacking him because Ethan Klein said Osama bin Laden was bad. And Hassan and his community are literal terrorist sympathizers. So they're, like, sending the massive hate brigade against Ethan Klein for it. I think it was because he said, like, fuck Osama bin Laden or something. Hassan is beyond parody. Yeah. Yeah, well, to be fair, he's probably blackballed from real politics now after getting kicked out of the DNC, so I wouldn't really worry much about him. He's just going to slowly dwindle away. I genuinely don't see Hassan being the figure we know him as now in, like, 3 years. There's no way he's still being a very prominent dumbass in 3 years. Like, his main demographic is gonna grow out of the brain dead shit he peddles. I hope, right? I hope. Something that reassures me every day is that I look at my age demographics and I see I have more 30-year-olds in my audience, supposedly, than 20-somethings. And far more 40 or 50-somethings in my audience than, like, teenagers or even younger, which is obviously ideal, right? I have a surprisingly, on average, older audience, and that generally gives me, it reinforces my hope that my content isn't the kind of, my takes aren't the kind of shit that people are going to grow out of because they're bad, like Hassan's, you know? I've especially lately tried to focus my content as much as possible on educating you guys. Maybe you guys don't get educated from my content, but I've been trying, you know? I've been trying to dive deep and learn as much as possible and like, dump that stuff on you guys. And, you know, I hope you guys appreciate it, you know? I hope you consider my content more worthwhile than fucking Hassan.
Taliban terrorists released, and get this, and the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of storied significance for us as Americans, a place where we honor the importance of American diplomacy, where we invite and receive respected world leaders. And this former president, as president, invited them to Camp David.
This former president, like that long, like, nah. All right, she was like, she almost went all in.
because he does not again appreciate the role and responsibility of the President of the United States to be commander-in-chief with a level of respect. And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we must do to uphold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the negotiations with the Taliban.
So if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting.
I got involved. Okay, Trump, that wording. I want that clipped. I got involved with the Taliban. Okay, Trump, damn.
Force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, you know, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems. And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And
That's not real. That's not real. That's not fucking real, dude. There's no way Trump pulled a 13-year-old doxer on Xbox Live on the leader of the Taliban. That's not real.
And for 18 months, we had nobody killed.
I'm guessing the leader of the Taliban is not named Abdul. How funny would that be if he just thought of a name and was just like, yeah, okay, yeah. I'm actually very curious. I'm curious if he just made that the fuck up. Leader of the Taliban. Oh my god, yeah, he did just make that up. The current supreme leader of Afghanistan, which is Taliban run, is ooh. All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do my best here, guys. Hibatullah Akhundzada. God, it's like trying to read Kazdul, dude. What the fuck? I'm pretty sure Tolkien, like, based? We got me back on Tolkien, but fun fact, I'm almost certain that linguistically, Tolkien based the dwarf language off of Arabic, right? It definitely sounds pretty similar, at least when spoken. Anyway, are you for real right now? Literally not a guy named Abdul, that's for sure. He made that name the fuck up, at least according to Google.
We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, we were getting out.
Oh,
we would have
wait,
been out
real?
fast.
It's a Semitic language taken from both Arabic and Hebrew. That's why the letters look like that. Huh. Oh, yeah, the dwarf runes do look a lot like Hebrew. It sounds a lot like Arabic. That's what stood out to me. Interesting. Man, Tolkien was so fucking cool, dude.
Than them, but we wouldn't have lost the soldiers. We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move on.
And these people did the worst withdrawal and, in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to...
I'm pretty certain it is actually the exact opposite, that Putin attacked Ukraine while a Democrat was in office because he knows how incompetent and weak America is with Trump in office and wants the American people to think that if Trump is in power, then we won't get involved in war, even though Trump literally almost got us involved in war with Iran. That he would have started wholesale for nothing out of nowhere. Not like us getting involved in a conflict started by another party. either against us or against an ally, just straight up, he would have started a war with an airstrike that he ordered for no reason. He almost got us into a war. And you know what? I think Iran didn't retaliate because they knew that if they did, then the people would associate Trump with war, and they wanted people to associate Biden or the next Democrat with war instead. Just playing the long game to weaken America.
To race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, "I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago."
Iran can't even start a direct war with Israel. Iran is really safe. That's the thing. Iran is really safe. It's kind of a fortress of a country. It's very advanced. They've got a pretty good military. Hell, the best equipment that Hamas has is from Iran. Well, actually, the best equipment that Hamas has is from the IDF. It's what they've taken from the IDF, like unexploded rockets and stuff. The second best equipment they have is from Iran. So I don't think Iran is... Iran's a really... it's a real deal, rival for America. Real deal. And I think it's more likely that a lot of adversarial nations are playing the long game with America. I think a lot of them see how divided this country is, and they see the political turmoil that we're in, and they see it as, especially if they believe what conservative pundits frequently say, that we're in the midst of an early civil war. We're in the midst of the early stages of a civil war. And if you're a foreign power that's adversarial to America, you probably want to wait and hold off and see if America actually does descend into civil unrest or civil war because of politics, because of how crazy shit's getting. I mean, obviously that's got to be, part of Russia's goal with what they've been doing, right? I'm really curious to if a bunch of these countries and their leaders are just playing the long game to wait and see if America gets in any way weaker before, I don't know, for all we know, Russia, China, and Iran and just North Korea all get together and form some new Axis powers, in a day. And everything goes fucking sideways the day that Trump gets elected. And Trump's like, we will not be taking part in any conflict with these new Axis powers. This is not our business. I wouldn't be surprised.
When she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
Oh, shit. Oh, we're getting into some juice. What the fuck?
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics in this country. Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, "I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black." I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight. Why do you believe it's appropriate to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something, I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words, so I'm
I
asking...
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
I think honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people. I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was he owned buildings.
Real estate
and
developer.
He was investigated.
Real estate investor,
because
not even developer.
He refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution
of the Central Park Five, even though they were found innocent. He called for he wrote a whole op-ed in the newspaper to call for their execution after they were found innocent. Well, they weren't found innocent. I think they were found not guilty. There is no innocent status in court, but you know what I mean. Yeah. People forgot about that, but that was a much more frequently talked about thing a few years ago.
Of 5 young Black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5 took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual.
It was an ad. He made an ad. He
Spread
bought an
birther
ad.
lies about the first Black president of the United States.
Yep. He was the one who started it. He was the one who demanded Obama's birth certificate. He was the one who started the conspiracy that Obama wasn't American. The whole he must show his birth certificate thing, because how could a not white president be from America? Mind you, Biden has never once been asked to show his birth certificate to make sure he wasn't born in Ireland. Interesting how that is, huh?
And I think the American people want better than that, want better than this, want someone who understands, as I do. I travel our country. We see in each other a friend. We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other. I meet with people all the time who tell me, can we please just have discourse about how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people, knowing that regardless of people's color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
President Trump, this is now your 3rd time.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up with
Back to his playbook, calling her divisive. Mind you, the only thing you could say that's divisive about her is her race, and the only people who are divided over it are not racists and racists. Claiming there is a division between racists and not racists is not in and of itself an argument against not racists. I actually think it is good for there to be division between non-racists and racists. I actually think that's kind of the point.
Things like what she just said, going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park 5, they admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the
40,
greatest
50
economies
years
in
ago? What? Correct me if I'm wrong. The Central Park 5 thing was like, what, 25 years ago maybe? 30 at the most? And that's the oldest thing that's been referenced here. Donald Trump, like the felon stuff, I mean, everything he did during his presidency, that's all within the last 4 years, or last 5 years. Or sorry, I should say 8, because we've had 4 years of Biden. Man, look at me doing math.
history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy.
Economy. For those that don't know, Donald Trump is leading in the polls with people whose primary wedge issue that they're voting on is the economy. Trump knows that his strongest point is the economy. Unfortunately, I don't know if Kamala can win on the economy point. Yes, Bidenomics, and, you know, Kamala Harris has played a big part in Joe Biden's presidency and his economic plans and stuff. Bidenomics has been great. When you look at the charts and you look at the numbers, it has been great. Inflation rates lowered. Massive drops to unemployment. It's fantastic. However, the prices haven't stabilized. That takes time. Like, sometimes years for that to happen. It's not something that just naturally occurs, like damming a river and further down the river there being a lower flow, right? It doesn't just happen that way as like a direct byproduct, like guaranteed immediately, predictably at a set time. So it is very easy for people to have the perception that a different person in power is responsible for something that's just happened, right? And in this case, it is the fact that Trump inherited a really good economy after 8 years of Obama recovering our economy from a recession caused by Bush-era economics. Donald Trump, of course, wants to bring back exactly those Bush-era economics with a sprinkle of incompetence on top of that, that even economists that support him agree would hurt our country as a net thing, right? We would be, in general, we would be worse off.
And remember this. She is Biden. She's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had, a horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad, and she can't get away with that.
Thank you. Your time is up.
I want to respond to that, though. I want to just respond briefly.
Here's Ann. I found that poll. Well, I mean, I guess I appreciate it. I suppose I should back that up. Post-debate, Harris leads by 4 as voters see her as more honest. Ooh, that's good. Composed and intelligent than Trump. Hell yeah, hell yeah. This is what we like to see. Yeah, pretty much every economic issue is where she's on the back foot here, you can see. Reducing credit card debt, reining in big banks, securing the border, obviously not as really economic, preventing big corporations from charging surprise or hidden fees to consumers. It's so crazy how voters have low confidence in Kamala on that issue, when Biden and Kamala Harris are actively passing a law that makes garbage fees on apps and stuff illegal. You know how like you'll order like DoorDash or whatever, and there's like 15 extra fees, or like you'll get an Airbnb and they charge you a cleaning fee, but you're also supposed to clean, or they fine you, or that they charge you if you don't clean, but they also charge you a cleaning fee. So they would charge you a cleaning fee and then charge you again if you don't clean. You would get double charged for cleaning. That's very common with Airbnbs and stuff like that. Kamala Harris and Biden are actively moving to make that illegal. Like currently, as we speak. That is one of their, the current thing on the conveyor belt of economic policy.
Clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country. One who believes in what is possible, one who brings a sense of optimism about what we can do instead of always disparaging the American people. I believe in what we can do to strengthen our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans and let's compare the plans. I have a plan to give startup businesses $50,000 tax deduction, to pursue their ambitions, their innovation, their ideas, their hard work. I have a plan, $6,000 for young families for the first year of your child's life, to help you in that most critical stage of your child's development.
She brought it up.
I have a plan that is about allowing people to be able to pursue what has been fleeting in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. That's the kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight.
I love how Trump just has to pout and nod sarcastically as Kamala Harris talks about actual policies that she has as a plan to help America's economy. Trump may be able to posture about how good he is at the economy, and he does have a record that he can point. He doesn't have a record he can point to. He has a 4-year stint of him being president and a pretty decent economy for people to associate him with. But outside of that, he can't actually explain what he's going to do in a coherent way on how he's going to help the economy. Kamala Harris can, and is actually focused on explaining bit by bit, step by step, what she plans to do. I wonder if people are going to notice that glaring difference, or if they're just going to continue believing that Democrats mean bad economy.
As opposed to a conversation that is constantly about belittling and name-calling. Let's turn the page
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President
Let's
Trump,
turn back
we
to
have
policy.
to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy,
She
please.
has a plan to defund the police, She has a
Back
plan
on this.
to confiscate everybody's gun.
President
Guns.
Trump,
She
you
Everyone's
has a
have to
plan
move on
to
to
not
other
allow
issues.
fracking in Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay.
That's
Mr.
what her
President.
plan is until just recently.
I just need
Lindsay,
to
go ahead.
respond.
I love how he just had to like fall back on the only wedge issues that he had. Oh my god, look at the sweat. Oh my god, dude. I'm not the only one who sees the sweat on his upper lip like coming, like, is that snot or sweat? You guys see that, right? Enhance. Dude, you know for a fact bro is sweating, nervous, and he's just resorted to like the 3 playbook things he has going for him. They're going to ban fracking. They're going to defund the police. They're going to take your guns. They're going to ruin the economy.
President Trump,
No, the
President
former
Trump,
president has said
no, I'm
something
sorry.
twice that I need to
No,
respond to.
I'm sorry.
I
We're
just
going
need
to
to
move on,
respond
Vice
one
President
time
Harris.
to what he has
President
said
Trump, this
multiple
is
times.
now your
Yes.
third time running for president. You have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. You have failed to accomplish that.
Evil.
You now say you're going to keep Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better. Last month, you said, quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this, I inherited Obamacare.
Look how sweaty he is. Dude, Obamacare was life-changing for, like, people that I know personally. Like, the ACA paid for my grandma's cancer treatment. Unfortunately, it caught it too late. She still died, but, like, she still got treatment, like, very good treatment, too. So, like, the ACA is a big fucking deal. Like, it's genuinely, it's genuinely insane to me. I feel like there's no way that Trump supporters that are of lower income can hear that and buy it. Maybe they do buy the point that he wants to come up with something better, maybe, though. Because, of course, Republicans don't believe in free health care, but lower income voters absolutely like the ACA, and getting rid of it and replacing it with nothing is not going to fly. So if you're going to get rid of it, you also have to run on the idea that you're going to replace it with a better free healthcare system, because Americans love the idea of free healthcare. You just can't call it that, you know? Like America's not supposed to have free healthcare, so we just got to call it something else, like Obamacare, or the ACA, you know? It's got to have a funny name.
Because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up. They wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration.
God, stop with the repetition, my dude. Just speak.
We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones, too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now.
Gold. Pure gold. Solid 24 karat gold. 48 karat, frankly.
But if
72.
we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
Vice President Harris, in
not
2017,
here,
you
during
supported
the
Bernie
debate.
Sanders' proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system. 2 years later, you proposed a plan that included
base.
Included a private insurance option. What is your plan today?
Well, first of all, I absolutely support, and over the last 4 years as vice president, private health care options. But what we need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay. I just need to respond to a previous point that the former president has made. I've made very clear my position on fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this.
Wait, based? Based? Oh my god, could you imagine if Kamala Harris followed this shit up with, and if we went to the range, I would outshoot you any day. Give me a time and a place, Trump. We'll live stream it. Could you imagine if she challenged Trump to an accuracy contest? Even if it's just a bluff. Just to, like, lay on him that like, the gun stealing narrative isn't gonna fly. Oh, that goes hard. Obviously, we know Tim Walz. He's a hunter. He owns guns. I didn't know Kamala Harris owns guns. That's based.
Stuff.
I wonder what gun she owns. Can I find that out? Is that public? What guns does Kamala Harris own? I'm actually curious what her taste is. Said during Tuesday's debate with Republican Donald Trump, she owns a gun, a revelation that surprised some voters but carried a deliberate political message. Harris owns a handgun for personal safety reasons, and it is stowed away in a secure location at her California home, a White House source said on Friday. The source declined to identify the make of the gun, but said it is the same gun Harris mentioned in 2019 on the campaign trail. Okay. So we have no clue what make it is. Damn. Well, we know it's a handgun. Imagine it's just like a .308 revolver, like one of those little snubby ones.
As it relates to the Affordable Care Act, understand, just look at the history to know where people stand. When Donald Trump was president, 60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. 60 times. I was a senator at the time when I will never forget the early morning hours when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate, and the late, great John McCain, who you have disparaged.
Dude, the amount of times Trump has disparaged veterans. It is not even a 1 or 2 time thing. If I had a nickel for every time Donald Trump has disparaged veterans, shit-talked them, and put them down, and claimed that they're not heroes, I would have a jar of nickels. And it is no coincidence it's happened that many times.
As being, you don't like him, you said, at the time because he got caught. He was an American hero. The late, great John McCain, I will never forget.
He got caught and held in a forced labor camp as a POW. And I believe he was tortured as well. Like actually tortured. Like the kind of shit you would see in like a movie. And Donald Trump said, well, he got captured. I like the guys that didn't get captured. Like, fuck John McCain. He was pretty awful, don't get me wrong. He was like a pretty, he was a Republican. He was shitty. But like, by today's standards of Republicans, he had a surprising amount of class and was surprisingly less awful than you would expect for a Republican. He was one of the few, he was one of the original Never Trump Republicans, actually. Oh, thank you for telling me, Shadow Raven Studios Archive. For those that don't know, apparently the crazy Fallout New Vegas Ashfall guy is back on YouTube and false copyright striking anyone who's talked negatively about him after he posted Lolicon on his YouTube channel. So, I guess because YouTube didn't ban him, he now has the ability to abuse the system and try and take people down for criticizing him. We'll see how it goes. Let's see if he tries to false strike me.
That night, walked onto the Senate floor and said, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You have no plan. And what the Affordable Care Act has done is eliminate the ability of insurance companies to deny people with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell the people watching tonight, you remember what that was like? Remember when an insurance company could deny if a child had asthma, if someone was a
Pre-existing
breast cancer
conditions.
survivor, if a grandparent had diabetes, and thankfully, as I've been vice president, and we over the last 4 years have strengthened the Affordable Care Act, we have allowed for the first time Medicare to negotiate drug prices on behalf of you, the American people. Donald Trump said he was going to allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. He never did. We did. And now we have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Since I've been vice president, we have capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000 a year. And when I am president, we will do that for all people, understanding that the value I bring to this is that access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And the plan has to be to strengthen the Affordable Care Act, not get rid of it.
Vice
Fastest
President
prologue
Harris,
in
thank
terms
you.
of where Donald Trump stands on that.
I want to move to an issue that's important for a
She
lot
made
of...
a mistake. At number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years. But it wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats
10 years?
that kept it going. And you know what? We can do much better than Obamacare, much less money. But she won't improve private insurance for people, private
Look how
medical
sweaty
insurance.
his lip is.
That's another thing she doesn't.
Dude, look how much his upper lip is glistening, bro. It's insane. He's so sweaty. I wish we could get like a pit cam, dude. Could you imagine if we had a Donald Trump armpit cam? How fucking soaked those underarms would be?
Want to get
President
people
Trump-
are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump, thank you. We have another issue that we'd like to get to that's important for a number of Americans, in particular younger voters, and that's climate change. President Trump, with regard to the environment, you say that we have to have clean air and clean water. Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat. The question to you both tonight is, what would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said the climate change is a hoax. And
From
what we
China.
know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has experienced these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being denied home insurance or it's being jacked up. You ask anybody who has been...
You could just ask Donald Trump how much money he's had to spend on repairing damage from the hurricanes, getting worse and worse, more and more frequent over in Florida, Mar-a-Lago, and his other properties. Because you know for a fact Donald Trump is spending more year by year on properties that are being damaged by increased weather events, particularly in Florida, for sure. Like Mar-a-Lago, I'm pretty sure is like, if I remember correctly, it's like right on the beach. So I wouldn't be surprised if like storm surge comes in and fucks up the property. I know wind does for sure. So Trump knows, like any real estate investor knows climate change is real. They know. They're aware. It's affecting their wallets. I promise you. They're very aware.
The victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go. We know that we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as vice president over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy, while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been vice president. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American-made products, American automobiles. It includes growing what we can.
It's really, I really hope that the economy bros see this and they're like, man, she actually has things to say about improving the economy and making things cheaper for us. Donald Trump just has platitudes and vague gestures at, like, the conception of a plan, you know? Like, he just goes, I got an idea, they're ruining the economy. Oh, I'm good for the economy. I'm a good businessman. But he can't explain what he would do. Like, the closest he got was the tariff thing, which is pretty unanimously known, I'm pretty sure, to have been a bad move economically. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's only within the political sphere people know that, but it was a bad move.
can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
It didn't happen under Donald Trump. Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. It's going, they're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these
Biden administration has created record amounts of jobs, particularly in manufacturing domestically.
massive plants, and they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable. But we're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto.
Wait, we will put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country? What you mean to say, so that's, okay, for starters, that is not what a tariff is. That is, like, what you're describing would just increase the prices, so he acknowledges that it would affect availability, at least. It would not ban the export or the import of these things. That is not, you would have to, they would have to sanction us to ban the export of things from there to us, or we would have to, like, embargo them or whatever and not allow anything from there to come here. Like, this is not something that would be popular. Could you imagine, could you imagine if Trump embargoed China? Like, day one, Trump just tries to flex by putting an embargo on China. Nothing exported from China can be bought in the U.S. anymore. Whether it was that manufacturing was outsourced or it's sold from Chinese companies, banned, like Cuban cigars. Oh my God, the fires that would be burning by the next morning. Jesus Christ. The prices of so many things would skyrocket to unaffordable levels overnight. The economy would crash harder. It might crash harder than the Great Depression, frankly. It would be so catastrophic if Trump did what he actually meant to say and banned exports from China. Oh my God.
Worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place, what they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible. We have nothing because they refuse. You know, Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it. Between him and his son, they get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these different countries. And then you wonder, why is he so loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine?
You notice how often, and I already pointed this out a few times, you notice how often Trump's arguments fall to exchanges of money, even between countries, because that's the most that he or his supporters can understand in the realm of economics as basic, like, trading of money for a service. Like, anything more complicated than that, they can't fundamentally understand it, and Donald Trump appeals to a common denominator so low he can't engage with it.
In China, why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did she pay him $3.5 million? This is a crooked administration, and they're selling our country down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing statements from both of our candidates. An historic night, this ABC News presidential debate from Philadelphia.
Let's wrap it up, guys. We've almost done it. We've almost watched the whole debate.
The ABC.
All right, let's skip to when it resumes. We got to let Donald Trump take a piss. He had to take a leak. I wonder if do you think they have a button that they can press to, like, notify the moderators that they got to take a leak? Because otherwise you'd have to say it. Do you think they have a I need to take a leak button? Can we, like, next question be like where we have the break after that? I wonder if they have that. It would make sense if they did. I hope they have an I have to take a leak button, and that's what happened there. Like, Trump had to hit it. You know, after this question, I gotta go.
Pennsylvania. Here again, David Muir and Lindsay Davis.
Welcome back tonight. The time has come for closing statements, and Vice President Harris, we begin.
Trump has a debate diaper.
So I think you've heard tonight two very different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past, and an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that the American people know we all have so much more in common than what separates us. And we can chart a new way forward. And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together that is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world. I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president. I've only had one client, the people. And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are you okay? And that's the kind of president we need right now. Someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump?
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.
She's vice president, not president, dumbass. Also, I love that's his cope about how she actually was able to list policies and actions she would take to do the things he can't even explain how he would achieve them, you know? Like, he can't explain how he was even responsible for the economy being good during his presidency. The most he can point to are the tariffs. And I assure you, the best case scenario for Trump, the overwhelming consensus among right and left-leaning economists, is that the best case scenario for Trump when it came to those tariffs is that they would have a net zero effect on the economy. That was the best case scenario. In no circumstance did any of the economists believe that it would help the economy to tariff imports from China.
3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it, and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in
Comrade
things like,
Kabbalah.
we're not going to frack, we're not going to take fossil fuel, we're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that.
Trump reminds me a lot of, like, a Twitter woke scold who will, like, keep on trying to insist that you believe something that you don't because, like, it doesn't matter whether or not you believe it. They just want people to believe that you believe it. And that's what Trump's doing to Kamala right now. Like, she wants to ban fracking. No, I don't. She wants to ban fracking. No, I don't. She wants to ban fracking. She said she wants to ban fracking. No, I haven't, and no, I don't. She said she wants to ban fracking. She's going to ban fracking. No, I won't, and no, I haven't. The moderator's like, she's never said that she would do that, Mr. Trump. Well, you clearly don't have a right source. Like, it's just massive copium.
And within 1 year, they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at.
But Kamala Harris is the divisive one.
All over the world. All over the world. They're laughed. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a...
Remember, all the points are economy, immigration, insane conspiracy theories, and finally, Republicans means no war because they are supposedly anti-globalist and isolationist, and it's all about America first and not getting involved in other countries' affairs. They have done an amazing job at astroturfing this belief onto the American people. This idea that Republicans are the only representatives in our government that want to keep us out of other countries' business, as they would say.
A lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all, is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you. And that is our ABC News presidential debate from here in Philadelphia.
I love the copium from Trump. Like, you know that Kamala Harris won this debate when the Trump supporters are screaming and crying, saying that these moderators were ganging up on Trump. Mind you, they say this because, A, apparently them letting him talk more than they let Kamala talk was being biased against him, because the things he said when he was given more time made him look bad. And apparently, the moderators knew that would happen and gave him more time to speak than Kamala on purpose as a way to actually hurt him, which is a show of their bias against Trump. Yes, I've literally heard this word for word from Chuds on Twitter. When you see them posting that level of copium, you know Kamala Harris won this debate, dude. You know they know Trump lost this debate when they're posting copium like that, my man. Holy shit. Can you imagine tweeting that and not feeling like shit afterwards? Not feeling like a cuck to tweet something? Oh, my lord. Anyway, guys. With all that said, I do feel that that's really all I have to say about the debate. I'm so glad we were finally able to finish it up. I am quite impressed with Kamala Harris's performance. I was expecting her to do very well, and I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised. She did even better than I expected. I think we all knew she was going to wipe the floor with him. I don't know if I expected her to wipe the floor with him this hard. I'm glad to see that the polls are starting to lean even more in Kamala Harris's favor after this. But don't get complacent. Never get complacent. We need to beat Trump. Not just because of the awesome policies that Kamala Harris is going to put in place, but man, we gotta see those Trump supporters mauled over losing again. I need Trump to lose, okay? I need to see Trump react to another loss. We need it, okay? Remember, guys, the best thing about a Kamala Harris victory is going to be the months of nonstop conservative meltdowns. It is going to be amazing. We need this, guys. We need to drink of their tears, all right? I'm thirsty. I am hungry for tears. Yeah. If Trump loses, we're living in a cooked country, both literally and figuratively. In a cook, you mean wins, not loses, right? I assume you meant wins. Yeah, I think Kamala Harris might win North Carolina, actually. I think she's got a really good chance to win Georgia, and I think she has a surprisingly high chance of winning North Carolina. I think she might actually end up winning Georgia and North Carolina, and if she does end up, like, massively overperforming, I think those are the states that do it for her. Georgia and North Carolina, if she does end up really overperforming, it'll be because they went blue. Georgia is by no means a given. What do you mean? Georgia's not a given. One Georgia does not mean that it's a given. They did do well, like Dems did well in Georgia during the midterms, but you can't get complacent on that. Georgia is still very much a potential battleground state. So is North Carolina, obviously. Texas plus Florida both have an over 60% chance of flipping. Ooh. Could you imagine, man? Could you imagine if there's like an unironic blue sweep? Yeah, Lefty Jenna, but there was such a heavy emphasis on mail-in ballots, which ended up actually winning Biden the election, that I don't know if it had that much of an impact, to be honest. Notably, Trump looked like he might win earlier in the night, and then as the mail-in ballots, which get counted a little later, came in, we suddenly saw a ton of states blink blue. Like, quickly. Within, like, 30 minutes, states started just going deep blue fast. The VOD should still be up on my channel from my live stream of just, like, 12 or 13, 14 straight hours of just me covering the results as they happen. If Texas or Florida go blue, she's probably already won the election. Yeah. Yeah, if either of them go blue, then, like, just because they did, then chances are she's already won the election because of how many other states went blue. Yeah, if Texas or Florida or both of them goes blue, she wins. Yeah, for sure. And if they, like, dude, could you imagine blue North Carolina, blue Georgia, blue Florida, blue Texas forever? Would it be mathematically possible for a Republican to win presidency again? I don't know. I genuinely don't. Regardless, though, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like. No matter when, where, or what you are watching, it really does help a ton. Every thumbs up literally forces YouTube to push my content in the algorithm, and I gotta say, forcing a big corporation to boost my content, isn't that kind of cool? All you gotta do is hit that like button. And of course, you can comment down below to, you know, leave your thoughts on the video, and it also compounds the boost on my channel, so I really do appreciate it. And of course, if you haven't already and you want to see more from me, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon, and follow my social medias linked down below in the description, including my fan Discord, which is the main hub of my community, and it's also totally free to join, and I host game events, call-in streams, and watch parties there. So if you haven't already joined, make sure you do, otherwise you are seriously missing out. And finally, if you want to support me directly and you're feeling so kind as to help me keep a roof above my head, consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon, or buying merch to the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support my stream, though, even if you're just lurking around and chilling, yeah, you aren't even talking, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. And as always, have a good one. Alrighty, guys. How'd you like that segment? We finally did it. We finally finished the Trump v. Kamala Harris debate. I can finally mark it off on the scroll. How y'all feeling? Been live for 2 hours. How you guys feeling? I could certainly use a restroom break, I won't lie. I drank a whole Monster Energy and now half of a bottle of water during that segment. The scroll and pen are from Amazon and cost me about $15 total. Maybe less. I actually bought 3 scrolls and the pen, and that was about 15 bucks. Including shipping on Amazon. Yeah, I mean, if you want, like, a funny thing to write things down on, it's pretty solid. Like, if that's your thing, then pick that shit up. It's pretty cool. Yo, Slashy, thank you for the tier 1 gift sub to Lefty Jenna. I really appreciate it. That's very kind of you. It really helps a lot and means a ton. Thank you. Oh, excuse me, I had to burp. Sent a Twitter link and said, do the Charlie Kirk segment today, please. I already have things booked up, but I do want to cover this. I do want to cover this probably the day after tomorrow on my next stream. I actually have something related to this that I'll be covering as well later in the stream. So you're actually kind of getting something related to it in this stream already. 46 days until Life is Strange double exposure? Damn. Dang, I gotta finish Fallout New Vegas so we can play the new Life is Strange when it comes out. You guys think it'll end up being good? I feel like I gotta watch, like, a recap of the previous games and, like, refresh everything in my mind so I can be, like, the most locked in on details and nitpicks, you know? New Vegas and Destroy All Humans 2? Yeah, I do need to finish Destroy All Humans 2. I really want to finish the remaster of that game. It's literally one of my favorite games from my childhood as well, so I very much want to see the rest of the game and how it looks with the remaster. Life is Strange is my childhood. Well, I'm referring to Destroy All Humans, which is a bit older. I didn't choose Team Future because of the idols. I chose it because of the thing I'm really looking at. I don't know what you're referring to there, Glowworm, but that's probably not referring to me. The worst thing is when you feel like you remember everything, but then you start and you remember, like, nothing. Is it bad that I never played Life is Strange? I mean, Life is Strange is good if it's up your alley. I wouldn't say it's bad or good. If it's something you would like, then it's probably bad you haven't... Well, I mean, it's not bad. You'd be able to consume that media for the first time blind, when otherwise you would have already seen it. So I guess it is actually... It's like if you haven't seen Breaking Bad yet, it's like sacrilegious, but also you lucky bastard, because you get to watch Breaking Bad for the first time. There's literally nothing like watching Breaking Bad blind for the first time, man. There really is nothing like it. Never seen Breaking Bad? You are a lucky motherfucker that you get to watch Breaking Bad blind, and I've already seen it. You are very lucky. Like, try to avoid spoilers as much as possible and hold off on watching it as long as you like, but definitely eventually watch it. But know that once you do, you have lost your chance to watch it for the first time blind. And it is an unbelievably unique and awesome experience, your first watch. It's amazing every watch, but, like, your first watch, it's just so gripping, and you're constantly on the edge of your seat. Like, you'll stay up, like, unhealthy amounts of time to binge, like, an entire season, because it's just so compelling. Like, when you know it's gonna happen... it's not as gripping to just, like, binge it, right? You would, like, watch 4 or 5 episodes at a time or something, right? On a rewatch, but when you're watching it for the first time, you might binge it in, like, a weekend. Yeah. Yo, Andrew Palmer, thank you so much for the $5 donation. I really appreciate that. Over on YouTube chat, said, I'm really worried about this election just because of how influential the right and anti-Biden left have become online. It scares me, not gonna lie. Online influence for the left is nothing compared to the online influence the right has, and on top of that, the people don't remember the fact that Biden seemed like a really weak candidate in 2020. Because if you were online, it was like there were no Biden supporters. Like, there weren't Biden supporters on the internet. No one was enthusiastic about Biden online because the people who elected Biden were a massive majority of people who are in no way, shape, or form affiliated or involved in internet politics. They just went out and voted and then went back to grilling, right? And people forget that those are the people that are going to decide this election. The people whose brains are totally tuned out of politics until the debates and the election itself. And so, yeah, I think it's important to keep that in mind. I don't think the, like, cringe, toxic parts of the online left are as influential as you would think. If anything, they influence people to move further right because, you know, I don't know if you're aware, but, like, there's been, like, pro-Gaza protests that have involved, like, hacking websites that people use for services, and that shit is not popular. It's not a very popular form of protest. And so, yeah, that kind of behavior, I feel, alienates people from these valid movements, right? Like, there's a reason why Israel-Gaza is barely an issue on people's minds in this election. Look at the polling. It's barely considered an issue that's, like, part of what's going to decide this election. It is, like, ridiculously low priority. Surprisingly low priority for a conflict America has any involvement in presently as well. It's wild how much has and hasn't changed about online politics, yeah. Really, if Trump took COVID seriously, then I think he could have had a better chance of winning. Yeah, I think his handling of COVID really did not help him, to be honest. Yeah, you're probably right. Anyway, guys, let me update the dono go really fast, and then I think it's time to prep for the next segment. Just roll on through. Steve Shives is not like... Correct me if I'm wrong. The most I remember Steve Shives being supposedly cringe for was A, he was an SJW, which obviously we don't give people shit for that anymore online, unless you're immensely cringe. And on top of that, he blocked people on Twitter. But the people he blocked on Twitter were alt-righters and white supremacists and, like, chud gamergaters. So yeah, Steve Shives is apparently getting a lot of views right now. But, like, we're not in an era where simply being progressive online and daring to block a Nazi that's, like, actively, like, rallying harassment against you is considered, like, the worst sin you could ever commit. That was the case in 2016. In 2016, being so progressive that you thought trans people were valid, or, oh, God forbid, non-binary people were valid, was literally, like a mortal sin on the internet, dude. Try to imagine a time when saying that non-binary people were valid in any non-explicitly left-wing setting was like... It was like screaming, hey, please beat me up and rob me. I need you to do this. Please, 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 please. Like, you were just, like, screaming out the most attractive call for people to attack you could ever have. Like, you guys have... Unless you were non-binary back then, you guys have no idea how fucking wild the transphobia was, even just, like, 6-7 years ago. Go back 8 or 9 years ago? Oh, my lord. Anyway. Alrighty. Alright, guys. Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. So, if you guys have been following the broader, like, big popular content creator drama in the last few months, then you might have heard about Dr. Disrespect, a guy whose real name is, like, I think it's Guy... It's like Guy Fieri or something like that. His first name's Guy, I'm pretty sure. That's hard to forget. Guy Beam. He's a dude who plays, like, very heavily into a character for his streaming persona. Don't get me wrong, to an extent, every internet creator has sort of like a double personality for the internet. Not necessarily that they're a totally different person, but that when it comes to being on the camera, they've got to switch into entertainment mode. And so it's very common, like literally every content creator, if they're genuine, is at the very least playing an exaggerated version of themselves for the sake of entertaining an audience, because otherwise you'd just be like, yeah, guys, so we're going to talk about Kamala Harris today. I hope you guys are interested in that. We're going to be discussing some of her policies. So I brought up, like, it wouldn't be very entertaining, but, you know, you've got to really make sure that you're in a presentational vibe, right? Dr. Disrespect has always taken this several steps further, though. He plays a character, the character being Dr. Disrespect, a guy with a mullet, shades, a porn star mustache who wears all red-themed military garb and bases his entire character off of an 80s action hero and all of his aesthetics visually off of, like, I guess it would be, what's that aesthetic with, like, the neon and shit? I always forget the name of it. It's not an aesthetic I particularly care for, but it was pretty popular online a few years ago, especially. Like the neon, like, palm trees and vaporwave. Thank you. Yes. Very vaporwave aesthetic visually, you know? That's his whole brand. And he's built up a massive audience. Like, Dr. Disrespect is a huge content creator, and if you don't watch gaming content online, it makes sense that you might not have heard of him, but in that sphere, he is still, even after everything that's happened, a massive figure in that space. And he's a streamer who basically exclusively streams shooter games as well. And because of that, as the months in the months that led up to the big drama, he started to play into the general political beliefs of those that might watch a FPS streamer. And those were very conservative beliefs. And a group of other, who just so happened to be COD YouTubers and streamers, got together with him to support him in several transphobic rants and anti-gay and anti-DEI, anti-woke rants and stuff. People called him out. And in response, a bunch of other streamers like Courage GD or whatever, the guy that used to play with Ninja during the Fortnite days, and Nick Merckx, the dude who zooms in on his forehead, the forehead streamer, they came to back up Dr. Disrespect. Mind you, Dr. Disrespect, by this point, was already known to be just kind of a bad person. He famously, and it is literally a meme in his community, cheated on his wife, kind of remorselessly. Well, he did make a pretty tear-filled apology where he supposedly wasn't playing a character, and he was just Guy Beam apologizing. But even despite all of that, people, I guess, assume he's just an okay guy, and continued to watch him. And Dr. Disrespect at the end of the day knows that he has built an audience of people that don't really care if he's a bad person. They're always going to come back to watch Dr. Disrespect. And I hate to inform you that even after a recent, well, I should actually say this happened years ago, Dr. Disrespect was banned after signing a multi-million-dollar contract with Twitch, one that would have been very beneficial for the platform. Out of nowhere, for no reason seemingly, and with absolutely years going by with no comment on why, Twitch banned Dr. Disrespect. Not even Dr. Disrespect would tell us why he was banned. At one point, he pretended he didn't know. Eventually, it leaked that Dr. Disrespect was banned because internally, Twitch had found out that through the Twitch Whispers feature, he was messaging a minor. Now, it does seem to have been a girl who is underage. We don't know the age. Could be 17, could be 16, could be 14, could be 12. All we know is that it was a fan who is a minor. And there's speculation about a bunch of things about what the content was, but all we know is that there were sexual, inappropriate messages with a minor. And how do we know that, despite not seeing any of these messages? Well, Dr. Disrespect admitted this himself, then deleted it in the tweet, and then brought it back when people called him out for deleting it. He really tried to do one of those, like, I'm not sorry, stay triggered, liberal snowflake type responses to this at first. That was what his tweet response to all this was. And in doing so, he thought that biting the bullet and saying, yes, he did sexually message a minor, and these people are mad about it, you can't take me down. He thought that this would play off well, but the majority of people online were like, what the fuck? Here's the thing, though. You may be disappointed to find out that this played exactly as Dr. Disrespect wanted it to with his own audience, as he has returned, and with record viewership. Guy Beam, better known as Dr. Disrespect, returned to YouTube to angrily deny claims he sent explicit messages or images to a minor, saying he, quote, shouldn't even be banned from Twitch in a lengthy statement in which he called the messages banter and claimed that the user was over the legal age of consent. Beam was visibly agitated as he responded to the claims that he sent inappropriate messages via the platform's Whispers function, taking aim at the media who reported on the accusations and claiming that it was a coordinated campaign against him. Taking a page out of Trump's book there, huh? He also claimed that Cody Connors, the former Twitch employee who initially revealed the reasons behind Beam's ban on Twitch, wasn't even involved in the process in an expletive-laden rant in which he claimed the case was settled professionally. Quote, you don't know shit, and it was obvious from your tweet, Beam claimed. You didn't have any first-hand knowledge about my dispute with Twitch. You said I got banned from Twitch because I was sexting a minor through Whispers messages? Do you even know what the legal definition of sexting is? I do, and yeah, I use Twitch's Whispers, but I wasn't sexting anyone. Mind you, he is heavily relying on the fact that his own fans do not care if he admitted word for word that he had sexual messages through Twitch Whispers with a minor, then deleted it, and then put it back when people called him out for editing the tweet. His own fans do not give a shit that he has admitted to full guilt for what he did. You shouldn't have to pull the legal definitions of this stuff, my guy. Doesn't matter. This shit flies with his 14-year-old COD player audience and the boomers who are still in that community. No hate to COD players. COD is cool if you play it. You know, you're not a shitty person, but God, is the COD community online right now in a bad place. Also, this is hilarious. DM dropping her video on the allegation she did drop right when Dr. Disrespect dropped his on the same day and time. Oh, that's funny. That's really funny. He went on to deny that he met up with the individual he messaged at TwitchCon. Quote, "Let's set the record straight. I never intended to meet this user ever. We never made plans to meet at TwitchCon or anywhere else, and in fact, we never met in person ever." He repeated himself a bit there. Beam's message came amid his first stream since June, which took place on YouTube and was titled The Truth. He was responding to claims that he had been banned from Twitch because he sent explicit messages to a minor via whispers in 2020. A former Twitch employee told Rolling Stone in June, quote, "There was no confusion. Messages sent after this was acknowledged were no less graphic and in sexually explicit nature than before, and I think more than the categorization of leaning too much in the direction of being inappropriate might indicate." So apparently, Rolling Stone, which was one of the outlets to initially report on this, has said there's no confusion and that the messages are sexually graphic and explicit in nature, and that leaning too much in the direction of being inappropriate, as he described, to try and bite the bullet is not a good way to describe it, apparently, because apparently the messages are worse. In a statement originally posted to Twitter after the initial accusations, Beam acknowledged that the messages occurred, but said, "I'm not perfect, but I'm not a predator," and that nothing illegal happened. It followed his ousting from Midnight Society, the studio he helped co-found, which happened soon after Connors came forward on Twitter. The statement was subsequently deleted. This was the original statement. Obviously, yeah, here we have it. The only real important part of this statement. Blah, 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 blah. Let me find the, Yeah, here it is. Were there Twitch whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. These were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes leaned too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. He literally admitted to Twitch whisper messages with a minor in 2017, but that there were no real intentions behind these messages, even if they got sexual and inappropriate. Literally the Chris Hansen, like, defense, not Chris Hansen defense, I guess, but like the To Catch a Predator defense. How many times have you heard that from dudes on To Catch a Predator? Like, oh, well, I didn't actually mean to do anything. In fact, I was here to tell this young lady that she shouldn't talk to strangers on the internet, you know? No, you know, it was important that her parents weren't here when I arrived, just to really make sure that the lesson sticks, you know? Like, how many times have you seen that shit? Apparently, responding to the Rolling Stone article, Beam said, "They reported on all of this based on leaks from 2 former Twitch employees, one of whom was supposedly on the Trust and Safety team. If these anonymous sources worked in the Trust and Safety team at the time of my Twitch suspension in 2020, then you would hope that they would tell the truth, but apparently that's just too much to ask. If these former Trust and Safety team members, and by the way, I know exactly who they are, actually had first..." Is that an attempted intimidation? Actually had first-hand knowledge, then what they conveniently left out is 1, Twitch's Trust and Safety team, the same employees that decided to ban me, internally admitted that the whisper messages were not sexting. Mind you, what he is arguing here is that the messages were not legally sexting. Do you want to know what the legal definition of sexting is? It requires the transfer of sexual photos or nude photos. So he is trying to say that he did nothing wrong because he technically didn't do the legal definition of sexting, which necessitates the sending of nudes. So because he didn't literally receive child porn, he is apparently completely in the clear. Mind you, it doesn't matter what the age of consent is in a given state or region. If this person had sent him nude photos, it would still be fully illegal and would completely be considered child porn. It doesn't matter if this was like some, oh, well, the age of consent in Alabama is 15 type situation. Doesn't matter if the age of consent in Alabama is 15. If there was if there was a nude sent, he would go to prison. And I think that's what should actually be the thing we're thinking about here, that he was messaging someone sexually, that if it went any further, he would have been committing a felony. Undeniably. If someone's a minor, sexual photos of them are just not a thing that is allowed to exist. She was 15. I don't think there's been any age confirmed, as far as I know at least. He went on to say, I'll say it again, neither I nor the Twitch user exchanged any sexually graphic messages or images. Cody Connors and those other anonymous sources are trying to paint a picture that I was exchanging sexually explicit messages with this Twitch user. That never happened. I even used the word inappropriate purposefully, and look at how it was defined by everyone. Everyone champs, huh? Oh, by the way, if you don't know, he refers to his fans as champs, so he's making... this message is specifically for his fans only. It's not a public statement to get, like, to clear his name. It's just to try to appeal to his fans to continue to support him. So he refers to them as champs in his statement about this. Including these defaming articles, we're talking about allegations that Twitch made against me as a half-baked reason for justifying their actions of suspending and shutting down my channel. Mind you, Twitch gave up money by doing this. Allegations that Twitch made without even a legal analysis of whether the whisper messages were illegal. Mind you, Twitch didn't make allegations. They banned him because they did an internal investigation and found that he did stuff they didn't like. They didn't, like, make allegations against him. I love how his statements are just so disconnected from reality. He doesn't even understand that, like, arguably Twitch could sue him for falsely claiming that they're making false allegations against him. I actually think Twitch could unironically sue him, funnily enough. Ultimately, Beam did not apologize, mocking the suggestion during the stream of releasing the messages he sent to the public, saying, What are we, in second grade? IGN has reached out to Twitch for comment. Beam's YouTube channel remains demonetized, but he says he plans to reapply on September 25th. And I'm sure YouTube will give him monetization back immediately. There are countless pedophile content creators that are known pedophiles that YouTube hosts, so wouldn't surprise me. Pretty sure EDP445 has made a comeback as well on YouTube. And YouTube knows, and they don't care. Yeah, I'm sure he wishes he was in second grade. God damn, dude. This guy is such a, like, massive piece of shit. And what I love about him as well is he's never made an attempt to hide it. When your entire brand is being a douchebag like this, I feel that you kind of build up this audience of people who you can literally never be beholden to for bad actions. When you're like Dr. Disrespect, and one of the most famous things you're known for is cheating on your wife, and you're still a massive creator, how can being exposed for sexually messaging a minor destroy you when your fans follow you because your entire brand is being a bad person? And that is the case, by the way. Like, in every way, his brand is being a bad person, from the cheating on his wife to just generally being an asshole. Like, Doc is known for just being very cynical and douchey about everything, especially if it's like a popular trend or a new game that comes out. He'll just be grinding like the 5 billionth game of COD of the day, and people will be like, why don't you try this new game that just came out? It seems cool. And then he'll go on a long whiny rant about how it's bad and like shit talk it. But his fans love that stuff, right? He is a hater. And the types of people that are professional haters love people like this guy. They are drawn to his negativity and toxicity. So, of course, much like Trump, you know, being sort of like a mascot for, you know, shitty people, Dr. Disrespect is sort of like an internet version of that in a lot of ways. So it doesn't surprise me that his return stream, after getting exposed for sexually messaging a minor, has been record-breaking. I believe currently the VOD for his live stream return on YouTube is currently sitting at 3 million views in only a few days, and he had over 200,000 live viewers on his return stream. Now, granted, a fair few of those could have been hate watchers, but based on his engagement and the days that have followed, it seems like he's more popular now than he was before he got outed. I really feel that, like, the internet conservative scene, it's getting downright dangerous. Look at folks like Donald Trump, Andrew Tate, hell, just Dr. Disrespect, who we're talking about. Conservative figures with a large conservative audience and a brand built on being an asshole. They get exposed for doing fucked up shit with kids, and their fans don't care. They built an audience that doesn't care if their favorite YouTuber is a pedo. It doesn't affect whether or not they'll continue to financially and view-wise support them. And rhetorically support them. Hell, if you talk about this on Twitter, you better believe Dr. Disrespect fans are going to come and try to argue with you. Anyway, this whole situation has just been depressing, but really a great showcase of the lack of ability for the internet to actually police itself. I think this is a really great example of why this idea that, like, platforms should be far more lenient with their TOS and their policy isn't really a good way to go about things. Because look at people like Onision, Illuminati, and now Dr. Disrespect. If a content creator goes about things the right way, they can build an audience. Like, fuck with children. You know what I mean? Get exposed for it. And then continue to exist online with a platform and full ability to potentially harm children in the future. Because there is no community policing. There's no way to make their fans see that this guy's a piece of shit and not support him and not give him the platform that he would need if he wants to do this kind of thing again. Self-policing doesn't always work online. At some point, we do need platforms to step in and say, no, even off-platform, if this is the kind of person you are, we have to step in. We can't enable a megalomaniac to, like, do awful things to people and victimize people. This can't... Eventually, YouTube has to step in. I feel like this whole situation is really one of the best arguments for why total free speech absolutism online with no TOS, no rules, no bans or anything is a bad idea. Because eventually, someone big, famous, popular, and beloved with a huge platform is going to do something heinous, and they're going to be too powerful to stop. Look at Mr. Beast. He may have been exposed for some awful things. Look at his social blade. There's been, like, nothing, barely an effect. The news can't reach that audience. There is no community policing that can be done to stop Mr. Beast from continuing to abuse more employees in the future, or allow, or faking more videos, scamming people, supposedly, like the shit that Mr. Beast has been exposed for. Nothing can stop him from doing these things anymore, any more of these things, besides the platforms stepping up. Anyway. I guess that's all I have to say about all this. Maybe it gave you some food for thought. Maybe you learned something from it. If you did, and you enjoyed it, consider dropping a like. It really helps a ton. No matter when, where, or what you're watching from me, every thumbs up basically twists YouTube's arm into supporting my content and pushing it in the algorithm. So if you haven't already, please consider dropping a like. Really means a ton. It's totally free. Thank you, thank you. And if you haven't already as well and want to see more from me, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon and comment down below to help the channel too. Follow my social medias, link in the description, especially joining my fan Discord. It is the main hub of my community, totally free to join, and I also host game events, call-in streams, and watch parties there to hang out with you guys, and I announce all my new uploads and streams every time, so no matter what, even if YouTube's buggy, you won't miss anything if you're in my Discord. And of course, if you want to support me directly financially, help me keep a roof above my head, consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon, or buy merch, the Streamlabs link down below. But regardless of how you support me, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a good one. Yeah, Mr. Beast unironically did suffer more consequences for having a trans friend than he did for being an actual scumbag. Yes, that is still the state of the internet that we're in. The thing that like, if Mr. Beast does have a downfall from all this, to be very clear, what got everybody, like, looking into his past and deep diving to see if, you know, he needed to be canceled was the Chris Tyson stuff. Not the claims that Chris Tyson was into sus shit, just Chris Tyson being trans. Like Chris Ava Tyson being trans. And supported by Mr. Beast is what made everyone deep dive into Mr. Beast's past and try to find a way to take him down. Because they didn't like that about him. All these things were publicly available before for like half a decade or more of Mr. Beast dominating YouTube at this point. There is a reason why these things came out and became a big deal months after Mr. Beast came out as definitively pro-trans. There is a very good reason why these things correlate so directly. The problem with non-rightist elements on the internet is, as dominant as they are numerically, are not nearly as well organized as of yet. Hopefully that'll have changed in 4 to 5 years, though. It will. It will. But we shall see. We shall see how it goes. Here, I should mark this off on the scroll very quick. I might, Mr. Boone. Sounds like pretty good content to cover, honestly. I've seen a few of his thumbnails, and they're really cringe. Oh my god, my nose. It is so icky. So itchy, and... well, I guess icky too, I guess. Maybe I need to, like, blow it or something. Probably not. I blow my nose pretty frequently. The Gamertron show. I don't know why, but my brain, like, auto-corrected that when I read it to the JonTron show, and I was about to say, do you know? Are you familiar with the lore? I don't know who that is, TSW Shadow Wolf, but it sounds like police brutality, and if it's a big thing, I'll probably be covering it next stream, but I do have today pretty booked for topics. I typically prep all my topics and things I plan to cover before stream, if you're not aware. It is, Zan? And probably expect me to deep dive on it and cover it next stream. Alrighty. I dove down the rabbit hole for Andy Pants because his videos feel almost satirical, lol. Man, they must be good. I'll have to cover them. Some good content. Alright.
This
Y'all know what to do when I say action, right? 3, 2, 1, action. Alright, guys. It's time to talk about one of my least favorite content creators in all of YouTube. You know how I talk about the fact that the right always has an advantage over the left when it comes to online content creation and reaching a huge audience because fear baiting, rage baiting, these things are fundamental to conservative content and fundamentally will always draw more attention, more clicks, and more engagement, which just funnels a non-stop cycle of exponential growth on the internet that the left will never really be able to attain. It's just how political engagement on the left and right works. We are not fear-mongers that need to keep constant 24/7 momentum going of being angry about something. It's not all based on negativity. But if that is what you do, and you are a conservative figure like who we're going to cover today, then you can expect levels of success like this guy. In less than 500 videos and less than 3 years, he has ballooned to nearly 7 million subscribers, and his channel is centered around using paid actors and heavily deceptive footage to push the idea that, well, mainly, more Democrat run areas are being taken over by homeless people who are violent, immigrants who are violent, and well, his most recent video is inside the Ohio town invaded by cat-eating Haitians. Mind you, this guy is a massive liar. And I know this because the first video from his I ever covered was actually one that he did here in Seattle, the very city that I live in. Now, I've been around Seattle a good amount in the last couple years that I've lived here. I'm pretty familiar with which areas are not so nice and which areas are very nice. I don't know if you guys have been to Seattle yourselves. I imagine many of you have not, since, you know, the world's a big place. But if you have, then you know that just like any other city, there are good parts of it that are higher income, that are a lot prettier and cleaner and have less crime, and there are parts of the city that are lower income, are more heavily policed, tend to have a higher homeless population, and you might not necessarily be as comfortable walking down the street there at night. This is every city, because cities are where they're the highest and most dense human population, and when you have more humans densely packed into a single place, well, you're likely to have a higher rate of crime, because there's more people everywhere to do crime against or to potentially commit crime. And because there's so many people, and the majority of people in America are densely packed into cities, and cities also typically mean, you might not expect it considering the fact that poverty is also more frequent in cities than in rural areas, like extreme poverty, homelessness poverty. Education in cities is better. In fact, cities also tend to have a far more diverse population when it comes to race, gender, sexuality, any number of things, really. And that typically means that, more often than not, most American cities are hard blue. Even if they're in a red state, most cities, like especially bigger cities, are pretty damn blue. And this has, for a long time, been something that the Republicans have had to tussle with. And one of their ways of doing so has been pushing the idea that the general blue leadership of big cities in America is the cause of the homeless epidemic in America, of any crime that you see in these cities. And because you can't really go to like some red area in the country and find a big homeless encampment, because homeless people don't go out to the country to survive in mass, you can really only go to cities to find that. Obviously, you're going to be able to create a narrative with that, right? In fact, Seattle has a pretty decently long, narrow stretch of it along some of the highway that is filled with homeless camps. There's definitely a pretty substantial homeless problem in Seattle. In fact, there's, just this long stretch that's like a lot of homeless camps. However, if you've watched a Tyler Oliveira video about Seattle or LA, then you'll have seen footage of places like Skid Row or this underpass area in Seattle, and it'll have been framed as if they are just walking to random areas around Seattle and this is the state of things. It's essentially an evolution of the narrative that countless cities burned down because of the BLM protests. Remember how, like, Portland is just rubble and ashes right now? Like, Portland literally doesn't exist anymore because of BLM? You guys remember that, right? So I figured we ought to watch his most recent video, which is very much relevant to Donald Trump and the debate that's going on right now. His video, Inside the Ohio Town Invaded by Cat-Eating Haitians. If you're not familiar, basically the entirety of his content is centered around deceptive editing to convince you that brown people are scary and homeless people are vermin that need to be executed or whatever. His fans very much believe that we need to adopt a Singaporean legal structure, for lack of a better example. Anyway, we're about to watch some real schlock here, and I'm not excited for it, but let's do it anyway. I also sped it up a little bit because I don't want to watch this at normal speed.
Sorry, Sam.
There was Haitians in a white van driving around the neighborhoods, collecting cats, skinning them, and eating them.
In my opinion, they're worthless. Bunch of worthless Saiyans.
They're getting thousands of dollars in government assistance, even the cash assistance cards. They're calling them the magic money cards because they never run out.
Man, they're nothing but a headache. All they're doing is raising our rent and our taxes and wrecking vehicles.
Everybody wants to make this into a race issue. It's not a race issue. It's culture, it's accountability, and it's respect.
Since June, they took me.
I do love how you get the different types of racists here. One thing that I do appreciate this about Tyler Oliveira is that because his content is such virality bait, he does try to play a centrist a little bit. There is also a chance that he's actually just a centrist, and he's really bad at being a centrist and just comes off as very fundamentally conservative, and his audience tends to lean very conservative. But, and he's also quite dishonest with his framing of the places that he goes to, so I don't have a lot of sympathy for him. But because he wants to frame himself as a neutral spectator, just visiting these places and talking to people and learning what they have to say, he tends to show people that represent what I would presume is his position, but in a bad way. And so I like how this video shows the different types of racists, like a few of them that are just, you know, they're missing teeth. They have no interest in looking like they're not racist. They live in a trailer, right? And they're just going off about how, like all the racists, like, just no mask on whatsoever. Just mask fully off. And then you've got the people who are definitely racist and are repeating the same things that the racists are saying, but are trying to say stuff like, it's not about race, it's about culture. You know what I mean? Like, you've got the different levels of, like, racism. Those that have the mask a little on, those that have it fully on, and those that have it fully off, you know? It's neat to see the spectrum. That's something we can at least appreciate about this video.
I'm a vet. They took me off of the disability.
You're a veteran, and you're competing with some of the resources they're getting that just came in here?
Yeah.
I need some solutions. I'm losing my mind.
This is Springfield, Ohio, what was once a small town in Ohio home to roughly 60,000 working-class Americans, until 20,000-plus Haitian immigrants flooded into town with rumors of them eating the neighbors' cats and local geese.
What did you do? Why'd you kill the cat? Did you eat that cat? Did you eat it? Now why'd you kill it?
Mind you, by the way, the city's government has come out to say there's literally no evidence whatsoever that any pets have been stolen or eaten in this town. Something that you guys probably don't know if you don't follow a lot of conservative content is that, like, every day, some, like, video like that comes out that's supposed to be this bombshell that proves everything that they said was real. Who remembers when, I forget what the organization was. It's this, like, really conservative organization that claimed to have all of the big bombshell that the election was stolen. And the Republicans were all freaking out about how it was they finally had proof. They finally had proof. And then it came out and it was nothing. It was literally nothing. It was just bluff. There's, like, constantly these big stories and, like, claims made, and they'll even have what seems to be evidence for it. But then a little later, we find out that's not the case. A really good example of this is the Jewish tunnels story in New York. When that story came out, the Nazis online, oh my God, they were running up and down the line, celebrating like, we finally got proven right. We finally got proven right. There are Jewish tunnels under New York City. They're doing some shit. And then, of course, and you know, those videos came out and it was like, oh yeah, it was Project Veritas that did the whole, we have the proof the election was stolen thing. And those videos came out of, like, a bunch of dudes who are from a synagogue just funneling out of a tunnel in a sidewalk in New York. And it's like, well, shit, that is definitely a video of Jewish guys in a tunnel under New York City. There is no denying that is what we're seeing here. Did the right get something kind of right? Like, what's happening here? What the fuck? And then, of course, it ended up not being anything close to what was being implied by the right. In fact, what had actually happened was a property dispute with a property developer and the synagogue, and a property that was adjacent to it, to the synagogue, that they previously owned but were now in a property dispute over the ownership of, and tried to illegally tunnel under to try and get back to the building. There was no weird, like, JQ shit or whatever happening in the tunnel, but it was very much like one of those things that in the midst of the breaking story, when you're able to, like, filter what is going viral with the narrative, it can seem like, oh, do they have something here? But of course, there has absolutely been zero evidence that is actually reputable besides online viral videos on TikTok to support the idea that hordes of Haitian immigrants are coming to this town and in Ohio and eating people's pets.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating They're eating the pets.
And causing car accidents left and
Isn't it so ridiculous that Kamala Harris didn't take that seriously?
right, and driving locals out of their homes by paying above market rental prices with welfare subsidized by the American taxpayer.
Haitian immigrants are coming to America. They're receiving government benefits that you need a social security number, as far as I know, to receive. And are using the immense amount of money they're getting from these benefits to outbid rental and house purchase prices for locals in the town. I don't believe it, guys. Call me a skeptic, call me a cynic, I don't believe it.
Are these Haitians eating cats? How did they travel 2,000 plus miles from Haiti all the way to Ohio? And do the locals and their new Haitian neighbors get along? I pulled up to Springfield myself to see if this was real or overblown fake news.
A lot of this is alleged because I truly don't know what's going on, and neither does Twitter. Twitter is relying off of a few images and a few Reddit threads, and there are rumors that Haitians are taking neighbors' cats and eating them. Are you from Haiti by chance? Does everyone get along here in Springfield?
Yes.
Good?
Good. Motherfuckers are worthless. Bunch of worthless sand. Yeah.
When did the Haitian neighbors come and move here?
I'm gonna say probably.
I like how the first Haitian dude they talked to is just like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty chill here. People get along well enough, I guess. And the first, like, I assume the first white dude they talked to is just, like, the most stereotypical, like, racist white dude in the South you could possibly conjure in your mind.
5 months ago.
Okay. I spoke to a few of them in French.
They're everywhere. They're up there. Don't wave at me, you sorry sand. I tell them like it is, man. I don't like them. I don't like them, and I want them to know I don't like them. Pack up and move back to Haitieville, wherever the you're from.
Why did you come here to
Springfield?
Okay.
Why don't you go back to Haitieville, where you came from?
Okay. Do you plan on living here for much longer?
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard there were rumors of Haitians eating the neighbor's cats and a Canadian goose. Is that true or completely false?
No.
Okay, to be very clear here, if a Haitian immigrant shot or, like, killed a Canadian goose and ate it, who the fuck cares? For one, Canadian geese would kill you without a second thought, alright? Like, there is not a single human being on this planet that a Canadian goose would not kill and then probably, like, violate the corpse of if they could, okay? If you know anything about geese, then you know. Alright, these are not creatures that you should be like, oh, to find out someone killed and ate, alright? Now, goose is a very frequently eaten, like, bird meat all around the world. Like, are people not, like, goose is not a weird food bird. Like, I don't know if we eat goose here in America all that much. It's definitely not popular here. But, like, all over the world, goose is a pretty popular meat where geese exist. And it's not considered weird. People eat duck. They're literally just bigger ducks. Duck hunting is very popular in America. I don't know what this implication is that, like, oh, they ate a goose. It's like, would you ever give someone shit for going duck hunting? Like, what? Like, what the fuck?
Okay. Okay.
We've lost a whole bunch of cats. There was a van pulled over that had over 100 cats in it with the Haitians. They said they was eating them.
Actually?
Yeah.
Not fake news.
Not fake news.
So a van was collecting cats and eating them.
I watched it happen. I watched them get pulled over with the cats.
Trust me,
admit
bro.
to the police that they was eating them.
You're not joshing with me.
No, I'm almost 50 years old, buddy.
They totally admitted to the police they were kidnapping cats and eating them. And I guess the city government is so afraid of looking racist, I guess, because the woke America, that they've lied to all the media outlets and said there is no evidence whatsoever of this happening. Supposedly the city is lying for some reason about this. That's actually what Trump said on the debate stage, that the city must be lying about it if they're saying it's not true.
I don't know.
You don't mess around.
No.
Twitter is saying the Haitians are eating cats and can't drive. Is that true? True or no?
No.
No? Okay.
I believe it. Like, I've heard rumors about them taking the geese and killing them.
Dude, it can't be an accident now that it's been literally every every person interviewed that's like saying some racist shit has been white, and then you just like they're talking to like non-white people, like even Haitian immigrants, and they're like, I mean, I don't think that's real, but you know, who knows? I guess there's just some ignorant people out there. Anyway, I'm gonna go on with my day. Have a good one. You know, just like the most normal people they have spoken to are the Haitian immigrants that he's spoken to. Like, I will say, of all the content creators that push themselves as a centrist but come off as right-wing, I wouldn't be surprised if Tyler Oliveira is just a useful idiot for conservatives. Because at the same time, he does actually, while he frames things in a very bizarre and conservative way, it also feels like his platforming is surprisingly fair, if that makes sense. It's bizarre, you know?
And eating them, so I try to stay clear away, because I've even heard about them eating the eggs over there, so I'm like, okay, that's kind of disturbing. They not.
There he is.
It's disturbing to eat goose eggs, apparently. Dude, have you never hunted ducks? Duck hunting is like half the reason to own a shotgun in America. What do you, like, what?
This is your guy right here?
Yes. Okay. So far, so good. I haven't had no issues, but they kind of know us.
And are they chill?
They're all right, I guess. I don't pay no mind to them.
You know, and they're everywhere. They take our fucking apartments. The landlords make the people move out so they can rent to the Haitians to get more money. You know, it's bullshit. You know, you go to the grocery store.
They rent to the Haitians to get more money because apparently these Haitian immigrants are just immensely wealthy, but they're also so poor they're collecting cats to eat and murdering local bird life, I guess. I don't know.
I'm an American, just like you. Yeah. And these motherfuckers come from Haitianville, wherever the they're from, and they get everything. They get medical care paid and everything. You know, it's bull.
Where'd they get the money?
The government. They said it's a fucking program for them to
for like migrants.
This video has done nothing so far but convinced me even more so that this is a local conspiracy that was come up with by racist locals that has made its way up the spire of conservative propaganda all the way to Trump.
Asylum seekers?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they're like roaches, man.
Yeah, I get along with them as long as they don't go pulling their crazy machetes when they're out mowing their grass with it.
Off.
They brought out machetes?
Oh, yeah, that's how they trim their yard.
Actually?
Yeah. It surprised me they let them all in, but I think that if they're going to come in, they should be.
When I say, by the way, the American people would elect Hitler himself if it meant lower gas prices and cheaper groceries. These are the people I'm talking about. Not even these people. These people are the ones who would have already had, like Hitler would have already had their vote. It's the people who are nowhere near this dumb that will vote for Trump, or even worse, if they think it means lower gas prices. You got to understand how much the economy is really probably the biggest wedge issue in any election, and the Republicans, unfortunately, have a stranglehold on that narrative. I really hope Kamala's performance in that debate changes that.
Legal and not illegal, and I don't see why they're giving them all this money and everything like that when our people are the ones suffering for all this, for them coming in. I'm getting ready to be homeless. They're getting ready to sell my house because of the Haitians.
You think a Haitian will move in?
Yeah, they're coming Wednesday to look at it.
Actually?
Yeah.
You'll notice, by the way, that this, festering racism seems to have been, primarily caused by economic anxiety. A lot of leftist theory suggests that, the biggest tool of racists is weaponizing economic anxiety. And you'll get some leftists, I would argue dumber leftists, who say that's not the case. But to an extent, no, yeah, I think this is a really good showcase of that. When you see people who are living in shitty means, obviously you don't have to be poor to be racist, but if you are poor, it is far easier to take your pre-existing anger about your shitty life situation and convince you, or even convince yourself, that there must be someone to blame for it. Hey, why not those brown people who aren't from here? They must be to blame for it. They're different.
Yeah. And when they buy this house, we'll both be out here on the streets. We ain't got nowhere to go. We're on fixed income.
Are Haitians paying rent? Are they paying their bills? Are they being paid to live here?
They're being paid to live here. I don't see why they'd have to pay rent.
They're being paid to live here.
Who's paying them?
The government. And that's our biggest issue too. Is
the government is paying the Haitians to live there and paying them so much that they are outbidding the locals. That is the claim.
Taking our schools over and they're running the Americans out of our own countries, it feels like.
This country has gone to hell.
The reality, by the way, is that if you're an immigrant from Haiti or whatever, there's a really good chance that you are actually relatively well off. because immigrating is not necessarily an easy or cheap process, and you kind of have to have resources and a lot of know-how to do it anyway, and you have to have a lot of luck too. And so the people from Haiti that are arriving in this town are probably like smart, educated, relatively well off to begin with people who are coming in, and they're not receiving money benefits from the government. They came to America and were able to get to America because they are already more well off and have a brighter future than the average dude who's being interviewed for this video. You know what I mean?
Live there, and there's another 7 or 8 lives right here in this corner house, and 4 of them just moved in here. They ain't in there.
Do you think you'll sell the house to a Haitian family one day?
Hell no. I wouldn't give them motherfuckers to sweat off my balls if he's dying of thirst. I'm for real, man. I am fucking sick of them. I don't give a fuck if they put a Haitian in every fucking house.
Man, this guy just does not care about pretending to not be racist.
The only white person here.
Twitter is saying that Haitians are kidnapping the neighbors' cats and eating them. Is that true or false? I gotta ask the hard questions here.
No. I love how the response is just like laughing really hard at how ridiculous it is. Like it's not even a thing being taken serious. Like, oh, people are saying that? No, we're not doing that. No, it's like, what? We're apparently stealing the dogs and eating them. Okay, like just reacting exactly how you'd react if you weren't doing that and someone out of nowhere accused you of it. You know, just like bewildered laughter.
No. Why is everyone coming here?
Haïtien viennent ici pour travail, mais manger chat, non. Parce que, non, pas manger chat, non, chat, non. Si nous besoin de viande, manger viande, aller dans Walmart, nous acheter, mais manger chat haïtien, pas manger chat.
Okay. Why
did we go to Walmart?
Moi, j'ai quitté Haïti parce que dans mon pays, il y a un petit gens qui ont un problème politique, des autres gars passés, so, j'ai juste essayé de quitter jusqu'à ce que ça arrangé pour me retourner dans le pays.
Barbecue? Civil war? Like,
moi, par contre, rien de monde seulement juste un problème, mais c'est déplacé. Même par contre, aucun nom de personne soit cap fait ça.
Okay, so just family and friends told him to come here to Springfield? Could you ask him that?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing what's happening right now is there's a shitload of political unrest in Haiti. A lot of reasons for that, to be fair. And that's caused a massive amount of immigration and asylum seekers from Haiti to come to America. And the towns where they are moving to, the racist local white people who are already living in, poor financial straits because we're talking about the deep American South. Ohio's the American. Ohio is aesthetically and culturally and visually the American South, okay? Like, it's not geographically the American South, but let's be real. Like, you go to Ohio, and the people you talk to are culturally far more similar to, like, anyone in the South than even, like, the next state north, right? Like, it's... Trust me, okay? It's pretty much the deep South. It might as well be. And so, like, it seems as though the pre-existing economic anxiety has fueled, combined with, like, an influx of immigration to convince people that there must be some attack on them. There must be someone to blame for their problems.
I see. Okay. Merci. Okay.
I don't eat cat.
Okay. She clarified, I don't need cat.
See how that trash can is right there?
Right there, yep.
Okay, every Haitian house you go around, it's honestly filled to the brim. There's trash that leaks out onto the corner everywhere, but we're expected to live clean environment.
That's her trash can. That is leaking out all over the... I love how she pointed to the trash can in front of her house leaking out and said, their trash cans are just like that.
Yep.
Okay, every Haitian house you go around, it's honestly filled to the brim. There's trash that leaks out onto the corner everywhere.
There's a lot of outdoor cats in this neighborhood for a place where you supposedly cannot have your cats outside without a risk of them being stolen and eaten. That might even be her cat that she is allowing to just be outdoors when supposedly this is a real problem. That's funny.
But we're expected to live clean environment. And then on top of that, with the rise of immigrants, and they get assisted living freely.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's coyotes killing local cats, and that's why there are videos of cat. Because there's definitely a video of a cat being like mauled in the street, but that doesn't seem like it would be. There's a lot of reasons why I don't think that was Haitians, right? What's more likely is somebody's outdoor cat got by a coyote, and if you know anything about coyotes, you know they love city areas. By the way. Yeah. She was American? Who are you referring to?
It makes it harder for people like me or somebody else who doesn't get assisted living to find affordable housing.
Are they driving the housing costs up around here?
Yeah. Like nobody.
Big time?
Yeah, like.
What are we talking?
Okay. Honestly, in my opinion, it'll be a surprise if I don't get kicked out so they can boost up the rate on this place. They'll probably fix it, get it where it's looking better, and boost the rate up on it. They pay $1,200 a month.
How much money?
This is called gentrification. It's been happening in cities for a very long time. It has nothing to do with immigration. It has to do with the fact that cities have an influx of population growth because people move to cities for opportunities like education and work. And when people with money, which cities attract people with money, move to these places, they want nice houses, right? They're willing to pay top dollar for nice houses. And so a ton of property developers go through and they raise the rent until whoever's there can't afford to pay it anymore. And then they remodel the house and they rent it out at 12 times the price.
Money does the government give you per month?
Sell it.
Pero el food stamp me doy como primera vez te pusieron como 500, segunda 300.
Okay. ¿Cuánto?
That's like nothing, by the way. Also, are you guys familiar with like what food stamps can actually get you? Well, the viewers of this content are not on food stamps, and like the concept of welfare is just a like political wedge point to them. Like they've never actually been affected by its existence or non-existence. But if you don't know, like, you know, you can't get hot food with food stamps. Like, just to give you an idea of how limited the government assistance is, you know that you are not able to get hot food with food stamps simply because the idea that, like, giving hot meals to poor people for free would be too nice to them. Government assistance in America is so stingy that we draw the line at free hot meals because a hot meal is a level of luxury that poor people should not be allowed for free. And that is something we've decided as a country a long time ago. So do not fall for this narrative that the American welfare state is bleeding the American taxpayer dry. In no universe is this the case.
Haitians vive aquí en las 2 años.
No tengo un mensual, pero yo nuevo por ahí.
Okay. ¿De dónde eres?
En Haití.
Haití?
Sí.
¿Cuántos meses vive aquí?
Tengo 2 meses.
2?
Sí.
Did anyone tell you to come here to Springfield, Ohio?
Sí.
Did a friend tell you to come move here for a job? How did you learn about Springfield?
Yo tengo mi padres por ahí.
Okay. How much is it to rent an apartment here in Springfield? How much do you pay for rent?
Pero todavía yo no pagué, pero yo vivo con mi padre, mensual cada mes 700.
Is anyone eating cats out here?
No.
Okay.
He lives with his parents, but they pay $700 a month in rent. In an area like Ohio, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. Like, rent in a city can get anywhere from, like, if you're lucky and you find a good deal, $1,200 to, like, $2,500 a month. To give you an idea here of, like, how expensive rent in, like, the expensive cities, like you know, basically LA, like Seattle can be that expensive, though I got pretty lucky and found a much cheaper place than that. Yeah, that's a pretty decent, that's a cheap rent. The people who live in this town that are complaining that they aren't able to afford $600, $700, or $800 rent are making abysmally low incomes. Abysmally low incomes. So if that's a real problem, that like the people in this town are not able to pay their rents, and the rent is presumably like generally close to that range of $700, that's a big problem. That is some cheap fucking rent.
Okay. Falso.
Falso.
Falso información. Okay. Do you know many other Haitians here?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
A big community?
Yes.
Okay. And why are so many Haitians coming here to Springfield in particular?
En pile haïtien vini sit lan, c'est parce que yo di sit lan gen job haïtien depuis le vini la ka travail, ça vient permettre que gen l'autre haïtien qui vini. C'est raison ça qui fait en pile haïtien vini pour haïtien.
Okay. Thank you.
Also, if you want to support our boots on the ground independent journalism that is not bought and paid for by corporate.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's pretty much where I imagine all the most interesting parts of the video are, and the rest of it's probably going to be for watch time. Yeah, this content is so depraved to me because I can feel the political opinions of the guy making these videos. The framing is very deliberate, especially when it comes to the homeless content he's made and how dishonestly it frames the homeless problem in Seattle, which I live here. I know how bad it is. I've been around Seattle. I know how much of it is just homeless camps and how much of it isn't. The way he frames his, if you can't drive anywhere without seeing a homeless camp, when in reality there is a strip under an overpass that goes from the southern part of Seattle to the northern part of Seattle in this industrial area where all of the homeless camps are. And that's where these guys go to film their videos and frame it like this is the state of Seattle. Basically, there's there's this highway road that goes from the real southern parts of Seattle, in that Renton area, all the way up through where the stadiums and industrial shit and old closed down factory buildings and all that. There's just this long road that leads straight to downtown, and it's all industrial, going through multiple towns, including into Seattle proper. And it's this long strip, and it's a lot of empty real estate, old factories and manufacturing stuff, a few stadiums, so there's just a lot of empty lots that are used for parking for the stadiums, and maybe even the stadium bought out the land, just leaves it there for parking. And there's a bunch of stadiums in this area, by the way. If you can look at it on a map and see the area that I'm talking about, on Google Maps, by the way, that is the area they go to. It is that strip of overpass, and they film their videos there, and they frame it like that 1% of Seattle is the state of the entire city. And then there's the implication that it has to do with Democrat leadership, which it doesn't. It's just cities are where there's the highest population density, and if you can use logic for half a second, you can figure out, oh yeah, no, of course the places with the highest population density have the most homeless people and crime. That's just how population density works. For the same reason why cities in the Middle Ages had the Black Plague, right? There was more people densely packed together, so disease spread. And that wasn't because there wasn't a thing about cities that spontaneously generated Black Plague. It was that having a lot of people close together can sometimes have negative consequences. Having people close together can help negative things to happen that already happen on their own. Crime already happens, disease already happens, cities make these things a bigger problem. It is the prerogative of dishonest actors to take real issues like this and to politicize them for a narrative that only benefits them and their side. And that is what conservatives do with stuff like the crime in cities or the homeless problem in cities. And Tyler Oliveira is either an honest actor doing a terrible job of educating people about these things and playing into the side of rage baiting, sensationalizing conservative media coverage, or he is one of those sensationalizing conservative media figures. Hard to say which, to be honest. It's a little bit indecipherable. It really almost seems like he has no opinions going into these and just talks to people and lets people come out of it with whatever opinion they want, which you could argue has merit, but in an issue like this, where there could be some serious, dangerous consequences to Haitian immigrants in this town if people genuinely believe that they are a threat to their pets, when it comes to when it's Trump claiming that Democrats want to murder born babies with executions, it's dog, at this point you're claiming that we're murderers that want to kill other people's families. You're basically calling for people to engage in violence against your political opponents at that point. And it really feels like this is a ploy to call for violence against local immigrants in that town because your pets are in danger, right? Yep, there's been a lot of bomb threats at the local schools in the town as well. Yeah, the school had to shut down for 2 days because of bomb threats. I believe it was the same guy as well, the same Russian email address that has sent bomb threats and death threats to countless other LGBT and pro just left-leaning institutions and organizations. I believe it was also the same person behind the Boston Children's Hospital bomb threats after libs of TikTok falsely claimed they were doing sex reassignment surgeries on minors, and her fans sent bomb threats. The same Russian email address has been tied to the bomb threats on the Springfield school as well. So that's interesting. You know, maybe food for thought. Might be worth mulling over. Anyway, if you feel you enjoyed this video, were entertained by it, or maybe perhaps even learned something from it, consider dropping a like. It really helps a ton, and it's totally free. You get to stick it to the corpos at YouTube by forcing them to boost my content in the algorithm, and it really does help a ton. So thank you to everybody, no matter when, where, or what you're watching from me, for hitting that like button. It really does mean a lot. Consider following my social medias, linked down below in the description to see more from me, and subscribing and ring the bell icon so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload a new video. And perhaps even consider joining me in my Discord server. It is the main hub of my community. It's totally free to join. I host game events, call-in streams, and watch parties there, and I even announce all my new uploads and streams every single time, so even if YouTube bugs out, you won't have to worry about missing a stream. And of course, perhaps even consider reaching out and supporting me and helping to keep a roof above my head by donating directly on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or buying merch at the Streamlabs link down below. But regardless of how you support me, even if you're just chilling out and lurking in chat and you don't say anything, I really do appreciate it. You mean a ton, and I really means a lot. Thank you. And I hope to see you again. Hot damn. How do you guys like that segment? I feel like it came out pretty good. Good seggy, nice seggy. Mark that off on the scroll. Well, guys, that's really all I have for tonight, because I started a bit late and got a good amount of segments done, but it's also pretty late, so I feel here's probably a pretty reasonable time to start wrapping things up. I will chill and talk to you guys for just a few moments before I do, of course, because, you know, I'm not just going to drop it the second I end a segment. You know, I'm going to talk to you guys and wind down a little bit of a cool down, but I really want to say thank you all for coming out today. You guys have been wonderful. Thank you for your support as always as well. I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream today too. I really feel that our topics today were pretty juicy, to be honest. What do you guys think? Pretty good topics today? I think they were great. Rings of Power watch party? Maybe next week. I think next week we'll do a Rings of Power watch party, particularly because I know that a lot of people are not super enthusiastic to start Season 2 of Korra. Xanderhall, I accidentally kicked my weight and split one of my toenails. Oh, why? There is no God. I am so sorry, TSW Shadow Wolf. I am so fucking sorry. That is awful. Ugh. Whoa. Like Hank Hill doing the thing. Jesus Christ. I am so sorry to hear about that. I hope you quickly heal and feel better and there's no lasting damage. Jesus Christ. Quick meme.
Mr. Krabs says, "They're eating the chow, they're eating the cocoa, they're eating the wisps, and all of Sonic's pets." Dr. Eggman, September 10th, 2024.
Oh god, I fucking hate that.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's a good meme. I don't know any of Sonic's pets, so I didn't know any of those references, but the Sonic fans in chat? Hell yeah. Yeah, it's from Cirrus's podcast. Cirrus is based. Dear Christians, if God is real, why does he allow us to stub our toes? That's exactly my point. Jesus, I'm sorry, TSW Shadow Wolf. I hope things go well. Did you see Biden wearing the MAGA hat, Lamau? I have not seen Biden wearing a MAGA hat, no. Did you see the Eat Less Cats billboards? Is the right really leaning into it with that, huh? God, we are in an insane time of political turmoil where, like, we have to deal with the party that says that brown people are coming to the country and eating our pets and have to act like we can't call them racist, you know? Like, what year is it, dude? What the fuck? All right, everyone. Here's where I'm going to wrap things up. I really do appreciate you all coming out today. Tomorrow's my day off, so no stream tomorrow, but we will be streaming the day after, so I do hope to see you all here. If you don't arrive at my stream, I'm gonna know, and I'm gonna come to your house, and I'm gonna grab you by the fucking hair and drag you to your computer, and I'm gonna log into my website, and if you don't have an account on my site, you better believe I'm making one, and I'm gonna make you watch the stream. So if you're not here, then you'll be seeing me in your bedroom. I'm just gonna appear. It's gonna be like I'm gonna be like an SCP, just manifesting in the room with you. Anyway. With all that said, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. You guys have been absolutely amazing, and I love you all so much. Have a great night, guys, and I hope to see you the day after tomorrow. I'll see you in your walls. Doo-doo fart.